Hello and welcome to everyone. I am Sava from Sava Talks Football, and this is the Spurs Review, episode 2. Tonight I have two regulars. That sounds weird because it's only been 1 week, but two regulars returning. Kuva, how are you, sir?
No comment. Sparkling. Another great Dr. Tottenham performance.
Absolutely. Swiftly moving on before we go straight to Dr. Tottenham. Sean from Spurs Talk Show, how are you, my man? You good?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, good. Shame about the end result, but it is what it is.
Do you know what? The number of times I say that in a day, and especially when talking about Tottenham. And we welcome Pete from @North London is Pete, who thoroughly enjoyed the game, loves Conte's style of football. How are you, my man? You well?
I'm good, mate. Sorry, I didn't get the memo about the dress code. I ain't got no cap or whip. Or,
yeah, I'm taking it off, to be honest.
Or whip it or anything like that. I ain't got none of that. Like a whip it owners convention here.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys, it's match day. We've played, we've lost. Let me set the scene. It's another. Let's be fair, they're a top 6 team. I know they're not in the league right now, but of the big 6, so to speak, it's another team we've played that are in the top 6. We've not got a result. We've started poorly. And unfortunately, guys, you can do it against Bournemouth. You can do it against Marseille. You can do it against X, Y, and Z. You're not going to do it when you're 2-0 down to the likes of Liverpool. Let me start with you, Kuva. 5-3-2, 3-5-2, however you want to call this formation. I'm going to go straight in with it, Kuva. I'm not going to be nice. Did he get it wrong?
It's back to that same debate about how much is down to the players, how much is down to the manager, isn't it? I didn't think the formation was the problem. It was the way we were playing. It was it was timid. We were sitting back, not taking the game to them. It just played in Liverpool's hands, really. You're giving them control of the midfield. One thing we were talking about earlier on the Irish Hotspur about not doing. Just make sure Liverpool, we should be putting the pressure on them. Other way round, it's likely to come apart. And it's all the usual things, isn't it? This is the standard Tottenham now. Throw away the first half, try and claw it back. And as you said, you just cannot do that against the bigger teams.
Yeah. I mean, Sean, let me come to you. I mean, obviously, me and you had a chat before the game. We had quite a difference in opinion in terms of what he could have done or what he should have done, etc., etc. But with or without whatever the system was, again, it was just lackluster. It was again. It looked like first half to second half was two different football clubs. I don't recognise the first half team and the second half team seem to play. Is that a fair assessment?
Look, it is and it isn't, mate. In my opinion, that we've been speaking throughout the game, and I'm probably going to be the pariah on the show tonight because I'm like I was saying this backstage as well. I'm fully aware that there's probably going to be however many people in the comments, and you guys are probably going to disagree with my take on this throughout the game, throughout the night. But for me, like the first half against Marseille was shocking, like absolutely awful, and the second half was somewhat similar to tonight where we went after it. The first half tonight, apart from, awful mistakes that changes games and our defence looking weak, I thought we won the midfield battle. I thought we had chances. We should have had a penalty. I thought that Sessegnon, if he made a smarter decision with the ball, I think we'll go through the individual, things I'm sure as we go along. Yeah. I don't think the first half, we weren't great in the first half. We weren't good in the first half, but I don't think we were awful as I saw, as you guys felt that what you and Kuba felt that we were. I thought that we were on the wrong end of one very well taken goal and then a silly, stupid mistake. But in between those things happening, I thought Tottenham started the game better than Liverpool, lost the first goal, and then came back into it and actually got a stranglehold in the game a little bit for the mid part of the first half. Second half was a completely different team, which is where I agree with you. We went after it and we were unlucky. We had so many chances overall. I think over the 90 minutes, I think we were probably the better team, if it's as crazy as it sounds. But look, I know you're going to say that the first half was shocking. I didn't see that. I didn't think it was that bad. Versus the first half in the Marseille game, I think we were a much better improved side versus that first half. Yep. But we're still a team of two halves, which I don't like.
Yeah, look, listen, I mean, Pete, moving on from that, there's a lot of what Sean said that I agree with there and some of which I disagree, and that won't be a shock to him. We've been talking. I mean, if we're going to benchmark it against Marseille, then yes, it was a much more improved first half. For me, though, again, it's giving a team like Liverpool 66% of the ball in the first half and 9 chances. They completely overran Emerson Royale. I mean, Núñez down that left-hand side, his link-up
That's
play with
hard,
Robertson. Look, it's difficult though. I mean, Pete, you can't give a team like Liverpool 2-goal head start, can you? You in whichever way we spin this, you can't do it. We can't keep saying, well, we showed fight and character and Conte's instilled this belief in them that we're never going to lose, because it's starting to not be, for me, a player thing. I'm starting to think if they're doing this every week, the manager's got to be saying something before the game. I mean, pick the bones in that.
Where'd you start? For me, I think the lineup was wrong and the formation was wrong. I think the formation allowed Liverpool. We had our 3 in midfield, that was fine, but then our back 5 was stretched like there's no tomorrow, because we allowed their fullbacks just to have the ball at will and just put balls in whenever they felt like it. And you always know when you play Liverpool, you got to nullify the fullbacks. Bear in mind how sort of fragile Liverpool are. I was a bit disappointed we didn't try and bit more positive when we started, because they're not exactly the Liverpool of last year when they're rampant. They're very fragile at the moment. And all we did was say, well, we're going to be the fragile ones tonight and come at us with whatever you got. When you see lineup, when you see Emerson Royal and Sessegnon, you might as well just close book and just wait for the inevitable, because they are the worst players, the worst fullback pairing in the football pyramid, let alone a league. In my opinion, they are just fucking
How would
dreadful.
you have set up differently, Pete?
I would have gone 4 at the back. I don't see the point having 3 at the back all the time. I think there's one there all the time, basically reading the newspaper. For me, we're not good enough. I bet people saying, the defenders are average, and I agree with that. I'd rather have the attackers are equally average, most of them, bar Kane at the moment. I'd rather see us attack with average players than sit back and defend with average defenders. I think we stand more of a chance. I mean, this is a good game to give sort of Hill a run at, because every time he's come on lately, he's done okay. You think him against Trent, he's quite tricky. Every team that plays Liverpool at the moment targets Trent because they know they're getting behind him when he's all over the place at the moment. So we didn't do that. That's what I would have done. Just right, that's our focal point. Go through him.
I thought we did go after Trent though a little bit.
In the second half.
I think in the first half as well. I think the Sessegnon had 2 or 3 chances down there. I think he did like the
There's
first
no
one.
conviction, is there? With Sessegnon, there's no conviction. He's like a boy in a man's shirt. He just like,
yeah.
I'm here now. I don't know what to do. I've got to try something or I'll get slaughtered. And there was never any belief that he was actually gonna get past him. And he, let's be honest, Trent defensively is poor. Everyone else managed to tear him a new one. But every time Sessegnon did it, it was sort of like half-hearted. It's like,
I agree with that.
It was frustrating, wasn't he? Because
there's no conviction in him at all. Yeah, he's got the pace to do it.
Yeah, it was giving him troubles all the way through that first half.
But how long have we been talking about that? How long have we talking about that? It's 3 years now. There's just zero conviction in anything he does.
Do you think we should have kept Reguilon?
Oh
yeah.
Over Cess
all day long.
All day.
Yeah.
All day.
All day long.
I
don't know what went wrong there.
Yeah, it's
it felt
interesting.
to me that the decision to keep Sessegnon over Reguilon was purely based on the homegrown quota rather than anything else. Because I can't believe that anyone watches Reguilon, watches Sessegnon and thinks that's the bloke I want. And by the way, I'm not even a fan of Reguilon. let me put that out there.
But at least he has a bit of a about him.
I always thought though from the very first moment that Conte came into the club. Yeah, she is. Yeah, but I always thought that Conte and Reguilon had a clash about something. Maybe I always felt like there was a bad relationship between the two of them.
Yeah, it never seemed to get off well, did it? For some reason. But it's a bit of a strange one. But that's when you got to put that sort of thing aside for the better of the team. For me, because Reguilon was clearly is a much better player than Sessegnon. So how poor Reguilon is.
I want to come to Sessegnon and Royal.
And we didn't even sell Reguilon either. That's the worst thing. We didn't get any money for him. It's a loan, isn't it? There's no money in the bank. What was the point?
We'll come back to individual players in a minute. This comment here, Kuva, I'm going to come to you on this. Again, it's another one where I feel that when we beat a team, when we come back and beat Marseille, we come back and we beat Bournemouth, everyone is always giving it to me about, that's Conte. It's the Conte effect. He's a genius. Another tactical masterclass. when we lose, this is the sentence I hear more than anything. Today wasn't on Conte. When is it Coover allowed to be on the manager? Because for me, like Pete said, I can't believe how we set up, knowing that their biggest weapons are Alexander-Arnold and Robertson down the wing. And yet we pushed Royal and Cess so high up and they got so much joy in behind. So when is it allowed to be on Conte?
It's a hard one to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
For me, it looks like players not following his instructions or just not up for it with the start of the match. If that is the case, why are these players not in the correct frame of mind to go out onto the pitch? That's partly poor mentality of the players. Partly maybe the coach needs to give them a bit of a kick up the arse before we even start. Because you can see what the difference is between the first half and the second half. And because we're doing that so regularly, I think you've got to really ask questions. What is going on there? We can guess at it all day long, but there's certainly something going on there because the evidence is just stacking up every week now.
It's not a coincidence anymore, is it, Coover? That's my point. It's, like let's go to the extreme. Let's take, if Man City have a game where they play like that, you go, oh, okay, they just weren't at the office today. They just didn't play well. But Spurs do this every single game now. It's not even like, it's just a few games. This is week in, week out, that they're going out there and we just look like meh. Is the way I won't say shambolic or awful. We look meh.
For me, the first half performance, I'll stick by saying it was shocking. Obviously not as bad as Marseille because that was just non-existent first half. But all the problems for me were to do with the relationship between Dyer and Emerson. Emerson, if he's going on the wing, being a wing back, his forward play was shocking. Some of the crosses were just insanely bad.
Yeah.
So if he's not offering that forward play, then surely at least he's going to back up the defence and offer that play. But they were wide open all the time. Nunes was having a field day down the right. Unchecked runs all the time. Acres of space. It reminded me of like the 29th minute of extra time in a World Cup knockout stage phase where you're losing. You have to throw everybody forward and just leave wide open areas at the back. It was just so easy for them all the time. That's how can you not spot that when as a fan you can see it. It's just like what's the breakdown of communication there? Is it on the players? Is it on the manager? Bit of both maybe.
But saying that, we keep saying that, and I keep hearing that quite often. They're not following his instructions. How many weeks does he keep playing them when they still don't follow his instructions? Any other walk of life, you don't do what you're told, you're out.
Right.
I mean, you keep picking Emerson Royal, who's got the IQ clearly of a broom handle. You can see that when he plays. He's thick as shit. Yeah. I mean, you can't give him any instructions because he can't play football. But when's the consequence coming for these players then? Clearly, then Conte's got no authority because they're just like, no, we'll do what you like. Forget about what you say.
Well, I'll come to Sean with that.
What one is it?
I'll come to Sean with that. Just before I do, there are 203 of you in the chat. So good evening, and hope you're all enjoying your Sunday evenings. Probably not the right turn of phrase after what we've just seen, but hope you're all safe and all well. Please subscribe to everybody in here. You've got Sean from Spurs Talk Show. Please go and hit his channel up. You've got Pete from North London and you've got Coover99 representing, easy for me to say, the Free Spurs boys. So please go and subscribe to everyone. And as always, any super chats, the money does go to the British Heart Foundation, which is a good cause. So please do put those super chats in. Sean, what Pete just said there. For a year now, the excuse has been, he has to play Royal because of X, Y, Z. Oh, he's got to play Sessegnon because of X, Y, and Z. At what point does he go, no more, no more of this?
Well, look, when it comes to Emerson, I thought Emerson's second half against Marseille was a real bright spot. Look, I'm going to say this right now. We all know none of us want Emerson at the club. None of us want Doherty at the club. None of us would like to see Session at the club. None of us would want Dyer or Davies. So let's just, that's the baseline, okay? But for what we have until we can change it, for me, the 11 that came out today was the 11 that I thought was the best fit. And the reason why I thought that was because I thought that if you play Perisic at left wing back, I think you need to have Perisic on the pitch for his ability to from set pieces. And in a game like this, I thought set pieces would maybe be able to nick us a goal, get us back into the game, etc.
And nearly did. Nearly did.
It nearly did plenty of times, right?
Yeah,
but didn't happen today. But it has happened 8 times this season. So I wanted him on the pitch, but I didn't want him to see. I didn't want to see him exposed against Trent or Salah. So I thought if you're going to play him and you want Sessegnon on the pitch, even though Sessegnon's not great, but someone's got to play left wing back. And last season, the same fixture, Sessegnon did put Salah in his pocket. So to me, you have to have those two in there. I didn't want to see Perisic play right wing back for the same reason. Robertson would tear him a new one, and we've seen Perisic on the right, and it didn't work. So when you have that system, then you have the option of going 3-4-3. And for me, I thought if you have a 3-4-3 with either Hill or Perisic up the top and either Hill or Lucas Moura, who's playing injured, then you'd have to have Bentancur and Højbjerg that might get pinned in and penned back by the three of Henderson or, Henderson was the original person, I thought, Thiago and Fabinho. That didn't happen. They went with Bissouma. I thought Bissouma had a really good game today. I thought it was his best game in the shirt. I know you guys at half time told me that, but you thought Bentancur was woeful. I thought Bentancur had a really good game.
I thought he had a good second half. I thought
he had a good first half as well, to be honest.
I mean, look, I'll be really honest. I don't see how a team that had just over 30% possession and didn't have any of the ball in midfield, how we could say any of the midfielders played well. I just thought they were. I remember I was sitting watching the game with Graham. Some of you know he does the shows with me, and at one point I said to Graham in the first half, another game where we're playing a top team, because whatever we want to say about Liverpool, they are a top team, right? They're not informed, but they're a top team.
Of course.
And I said another game where Bentancur, who gets all the plaudits against Marseille and against Bournemouth, another game like it at Man U, at Chelsea, anonymous for me. But second half, I thought all three of them were much, much better. And that leads me on to this, Sean. Sorry, I'll let you jump back in. But Steve D, thanks so much for the super chat. I agree with this. He said, funny, once we stop inviting, and that's the key word here, right? Once we stop inviting pressure on our defence, the mistakes were absent. 30 to 70% first half at home to a side that's not one away from home. Now, surely, Sean, there's a lot in there that's true, right? Because if you sit back and play the way we did in the first half and give teams 60, 65, 70% possession, our defence is fragile. They will make mistakes. If we attack like we did second half Bournemouth, second half today, second half Marseille, the mistakes do seem to stop.
I 100% agree with what Steve is saying, but I just think that you always need to remember the context of what happens when a goal goes in either side, right? The dynamic of the game changes. When you're 2-0 up, Liverpool have got something to protect and they're more than happy to sit back and let you come at them. When it's 0-0, it's not the same. I 100% agree that we shouldn't sit back as much as we do, but we are Conte's system of play is a counter-attacking team. The problem with today, the reason why I thought Bentancur had a good game was even in that 30% possession, we did still have that chance where Perisic headed it and Alisson knocked it onto the post. We had the shove on Sessegnon that could and should have been a penalty because exactly the same thing happened yesterday with Cancelo. Exactly the same thing. The only reason it was a red card yesterday was because it was the last man. But in terms of the arm out shove, for me, I know Pete's obviously that doesn't agree, but for me, I thought that was if yesterday's was a penalty, then today's was a penalty. I think I just consistency again, and on top of that, the other touch.
But that's not about us playing well, is it?
My point is that Bentancur was integral in every one of those moves, and there was a third move that I was going to talk about, the one where Sessegnon did when the ball came over the top, and Sessegnon had a fantastic first touch to take it past Trent, and then his second touch into Konate, rather than just knocking it past, he could have got the foul. He pulls it back and runs into Konate. All of those moves started with Bentancur. So for me, Bentancur, he was the connection between the defensive formation and the 11 that we had out there. Given our injuries into the forward line, I thought he did play the part. I thought Højbjerg was really poor today. I didn't think he got involved at all in the first half.
I agree.
I thought Bentancur was better than you guys are giving him credit for.
I think the difference is, I think in this first half, when Bentancur got the ball a lot, there was no player forward for him to pass to because everyone was always behind him. So every pass had to go backwards. There was no sort of runners, no one going for it. Where in the second half, when we were more positive, every time he got the ball up, he had options to keep the attack flowing. 9 out of 10 first half, it had to go back because there was nothing further forward.
So, Pete, let me ask you, Pete, just before I come to Cooper with a different question. Emerson Royal starts week in, week out above Matt Doherty. Now, again, this is going to be another one of them times where I'm going to sit in now and say, is Matt Doherty my favourite player ever? No. But when he's on the pitch, do I feel a lot more comfortable and safe when he's got possession of the ball than I do with Royal? Yes. So why are we not seeing Matt Doherty start games in front of Royal?
I don't know. Emerson must have nudes of his missus or something on his phone. You can't work it out, can you? That is going to go down in history as one of the great phenomena in the world for me. Because I just
now that Kulu's back, Doherty will play more because Doherty and Kulu have got some sort of chemistry. But
even the players on the pitch feel better. You can see it when Doherty's on the pitch because they pass to him. Yeah. Half of them would rather run around in circle and then they see Emerson. No, I'll go try and do another circle and find another player. Then pass to him because they know full well as soon as the ball gets to him, you might as well start running back now.
Yeah. That cross from Emerson in the 57th or whatever it was minute today when we were looking like we had a chance and he wellied it up to row 17 in the West Stand.
That's what I mean. What are we dealing with? But who picks him? Who picks him? How can he keep picking him?
Conte.
For me,
right?
as soon as he
Conte loves Emerson.
But the fact he keeps picking him means he's always up for to be questioned.
I agree.
Until he stops that, especially when
they've always said, they've always said that Conte loves a challenge with a player, doesn't he? He wants to bring a player out of nothing and make them something. Challenge accepted, I'd say, with this one.
Mate, that's just one you got to pick your battles. We've got enough problems as it is about that. Yeah, do that. Take him on the training pitch and then do it with him, and then do it there. Not in 90 minutes on a thingy. Put him in under 23s or something and let him try and learn crossing in there. Yeah,
I think that cross is made even worse by the fact he had so much time. He measured that cross. It's just unbelievable.
I mean, look, guys, I got the sense, and again, obviously, we're watching from home because I'll be honest, I've said it many times before. You guys know I'm always happy to pay to watch Spurs, but not this type of brand of football. I won't do it. I got the sense that there was almost like this collective, not a groan, but it's more like when Emerson Royal did that, as if not to be annoyed that he did it, but as if to say, oh, that's Royal, right? And this, for me, I fail to believe, first of all, that he's better than Doherty. And second of all, you cannot tell me, guys, that putting in Jed Spence is going to be any worse than the crap we are watching with Emerson Royal. And that, for me, like Pete said, Kuva, right? That has to be when I know loads of people in the chat. You can't question Conte. You can't. Yeah, I am questioning Conte. All the while you do those things, Kuva, I'm questioning him.
Yeah, even Pep, even Sir Alex Ferguson, they've all made mistakes sometimes. It's not like a manager's immune from criticism. But I think we've got to start asking these questions. It's just this happening too regularly. The fact that we see the contrast in the way the team plays from half to half, it just doesn't add up, does it? Something's
look how much better it got when he went off. As soon as he went off and Cesc went off, then we were a much better outfit. Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree with Sean though about the Doherty and Kulusevski link up. It's a really important bit to the team.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree. I mean, Kuba, let me start with you then. Let's change the dynamic. I'm gonna take you all back to the summer of 2022. I'm going to say taking you back just a few months ago, and multiple shows we all did together in various different guises. And the narrative, Kuva, was that Spurs had a better squad than Arsenal. We'd had a better window than Arsenal, and we've got a better manager than Arsenal, and they're in our rear view mirror, right? Let's fast forward now to November. They are 8 points clear of us with a game in hand. Now, are you telling me, Kobe, let's assume they win that. Let's just assume they will, because they seem to be winning every other game. Are Liverpool an 11-point better than us squad? Really?
Arsenal, you mean?
Arsenal, sorry.
But we just have to judge it on performances, don't you? I mean, they are getting the points in. Even when they don't play convincingly, they're still getting the wins. When we don't play convincingly against big teams, we do lose it or we draw. You've got to say, yeah, their starting 11's better than ours. Mm-hmm. I don't really see any weak links in their team. In their squad, yes, but in the first 11, no, they're doing what they should be.
Who's that?
I mean,
what team?
Arsenal. I mean, I'm coming to you, Sean and Pete. Now, let me ask you two. Do you agree with that? Because look, I sat there all summer trying to say to people, look, let's stop belittling Arsenal. We finished 1 point above them, and everyone's talking about well, now Conte's had a summer. They're going to be in our rear view. They've kicked on, and we look like I don't want to say we've gone backwards because we're right up there, but the football's no better than last year, and Arsenal's is magnificently better for them. So, Sean, what's
the difference?
What's gone on there? Yeah, what is the difference? What happened in the summer?
Look, I think for me, Tottenham. Listen, I don't care about Arsenal, the banter between Arsenal fans. I spend a lot of time on neutral fan channels with rival fans. It's obviously a lot of banter, and it's difficult right now to go at the Arsenal contingent because of their relative success thus far. But for me, I do think that when you look at Tottenham under a microscope, we're guilty of holding the poor players accountable for being poor and not being good enough. And maybe the players last year that played above their level, like Dyer and Davies, that had good seasons last year, I don't think that we as a team are recognising we're not holding the competent players, the players that we do want to keep to accountable. Players like, look, I know Harry Kane scored or whatever his 11th goal today or whatever, right? But he had a shit game. He had a shit game, and it was only because of Kulusevski's fantastic through pass that got the goal. Whatever, you have to score a goal as a striker, it's fine. But Sonny's been absolutely appalling. Romero's been absolutely appalling. Hugo Lloris has had an absolutely terrible season. You take the same players from the Arsenal squad, they're players that play like Saliba has come back from loan and just been an absolute revelation for them. Martinelli, right? Like a lot of Arsenal fans wanted Raheem Sterling in the summer. They went to Chelsea instead. Raheem Sterling, for me, might have started the season pretty well for Chelsea, but suddenly he's really dropped off and is a bit of a non-entity anymore. Martinelli's fantastic for Arsenal. You can't say the same for Sonny. You can't say the same for Kane. You can't really say the same for Kulusevski because even when he has played in the few games, he wasn't that spectacular this season versus the version of him we saw. So for me, I think the difference isn't necessarily that our bad players are still playing bad. I think it's that our good players are still are playing bad. Whereas every single element in the Arsenal ecosystem right now is at peak performance. Their great players are playing well. Their their average players are playing well, like above their level, almost like what Tottenham did last season with the average players that we have. And they've got a manager that's got them playing with confidence, and they go into every game like willing to take the risk and go at it because they've got 11 out of 12 from 13 wins, right, in the Premier League. Tottenham Hotspur, when we go a goal down, or even when we're not, when we're 0-0, we're lacking in confidence. The difference, I think, is basically what I just said. That's where I want to see better from our better players rather than better from our bad players.
No, listen, I agree. There's a lot of merit in there, what you said. I mean, Pete, let's look at that. Let's go into more detail with that. And look, clearly at this stage of the season, there's going to be comparisons between Spurs and Arsenal. They're our biggest rivals. They were the team we picked to get Champions League last year. And they're kicking our asses at the moment. And now, again, things can change. Football changes, right? What I'm seeing a lot in the chat, Pete, is a lot of people saying, well, let's wait and see what happens when they get injuries. But the thing for me is, first and foremost, injuries aren't a given. We can't just sit back and go, they might get an injury to a top player soon, because that's never a given. Second of all, Pete, I was told, I'm going to say, I know I always use that sentence and Cooper probably hates you for saying it, but I was told by all the fans in the summer on all of my shows that Ben White's crap. Saliba's not that good. Zinchenko, couldn't get in the Man City team. Xhaka and Partey are average midfielders, not as good as ours. Martinelli's not as good as Son. Saka's not as good as Kulusevski. You see where I'm going with this, right? Mm-hmm. So why can they play that brand of football, which they weren't playing last season, and we now seem to have regressed in style? Why is that?
Well, first of all, they go and buy players from the best team in the country when they're available, and we're punching around with lower teams, lower bottom half of the table, buying players from Everton and stuff, teams like that, where they go to Man City and go, we'll have him if you're selling him. Yeah. They come in. Now, obviously, as you know, I do a show. My show is whole based on Tottenham Arsenal. So I've got these clowns every week mugging me off. Yeah. Just painful enough. But when you hear it, obviously, they're more into what goes on in the club. And they tell, like, my mate Harry told me that what he hears from the Arsenal players is that when them two players came in, everything went up a gear.
Right.
They're not Ronaldo and Messi, but the training, the attitude, the everything went up a gear, and all the other players bought into it. Yeah, and then you look at Arsenal at the moment. You could say from what you see, and you saw a bit in their documentary if you watched it. Everyone seems to be on the same, singing from the same hymn sheet in that club. Yeah.
Yeah.
The owner Kroenke stays over there. His son's over here. You got him. You got Edu. You got Arteta. All of them are on the same hymn sheet in terms of what they want to do, how they want to do it, and then you got the players as well. Where for us, looking at our transfer strategy for a start. You got Conte wants these sort of players. Paratici want certain sort of players because that's his job, and then Levy will chip in and want a couple of players as well. It's just I knew this was coming. If you go rewind to your shows and mine before during the window, I said this was going to happen because I see it.
Agreed.
You could see it coming. You could see it coming, and people are like, don't worry about them. They're not. And Arteta's just there to put out cones out and everything else. But he's reaping the rewards of his work, and they're reaping the rewards of backing him through the thick and thin. When they were bottom of the league after 3 games, hadn't won in 5 games, didn't get in the Champions League. Whenever a player he don't want, he goes. Yeah, not well. We wait for the next manager to see if he wants to go. Just I don't want him. He's causing me problems. He's gone, and then they're sort of like that feel-good factor in their club. They're reveling in it. But the most important thing is they go out every game and play on the front foot. Yeah, individually they're not that great defensively. Saliba's a good player. Ben White's a good player, but you can get at them because we did it. Even how poor we are when we played them. Yeah, that first half we were going through them quite at will at sometimes. But they're like, well, we're right about that when we need to. But in the meantime, we're going to go for it. Yeah, we'll worry about what we're going to do, not worry about what you're going to do. And for me, that's the big difference in ethos. As soon as they start, they're at it. Yeah, they'll come at you from the minute get go, on the front foot, positive, and everything else. Pound for pound, there's players who are not miles better than ours, but as a collective, they're playing what they said. Kane, all our players, they don't get into football to sit back and play on a counter attack. They want to be on the ball. They want to express themselves. Where Arsenal, they're allowed to do that, and they're reaping the benefits of that. And it just breeds a confidence in their team. Where for us, because we're always on the back foot, waiting for a chance to go forward and conceding 60% possession, it's a negative mindset, and that sort of inbreeds in our players because we don't have the ball a lot. Sort of get a bit low on confidence. Where their players are complete opposite, and some of their players now look like world beaters.
Do you think our players like playing for Conte then?
I'll be honest, no. The body language for me says otherwise.
I agree.
You look at me, you measure it by Kane. Yeah, Kane will run his heart out for anyone, but even he's not doing what he can do because he can't. Because what else can he do? Yeah, every time he gets the ball, he's got his back to goal. There's no one running behind him. There's everything's in front of him. The whole emphasis is on him. He's got. I see a stat earlier with players who create chances and assists. He's in there creating for himself. Every other player's got another player creating for him. He's doing it for himself.
Well, so does that mean then? Do you this like narrative that's banded around the Spurs community that if Conte leaves, Kane leaves?
No, I don't believe that.
You don't think that's the case?
No, I think that's a separate issue altogether. I don't think they come as a.
But that's not Kane's choice either. It's not Kane's choice if he leaves, is it? Let's be brutally honest here. I keep hearing this all the time. Well, if Conte goes, so do Kane and Son. No, Levy decides.
But Kane's in literally 13 months' time. If Conte was to leave at the end of the season and Kane hasn't signed a new contract, he could leave it. He could sign a pre-contract agreement in January, right?
Yeah. So, but we've still got him as things stand now. We've still got him until the summer of 2024.
Yeah.
I think if Conte walked out in the summer and Kane put in a transfer request, I think we'd sell him.
I think Kane will probably do that anyway. I think that's not related to Conte because even if he believed in Conte and what he's doing, he's not stupid enough to know that the way our club is run, he ain't gonna get the trophies he wants because it ain't gonna come.
Just quickly, guys, we'll come back to this debate. Just quickly, thank you so much, Rootsy Pop. As always in there, very loyal in the chats. He said Spurs have a mixture of quality and complete garbage. Sestachine, Dyer, Mora, etc. Arsenal look superb, made Chelsea look like Millwall. Rootsy Pop, thank you so much. I completely agree with you, but thank you so much for the super chat. If anyone does want to put them in, they do go to charity. Also, there are 275 of you in the chat, so thank you very much. But there are only 69 likes. No giggling, please, for any adults out there. But 69 is not the number. Come on. There are 275 of you and only 69 likes. People, we're giving up our Sunday evenings. Let's go back. Let's come back to this, Kuva. It's some good points. We'll talk about the Kane leaving thing later. But in terms of Arsenal always starting on the front foot, I think a lot of our fans, people would say, oh, he's a B-Tech Pep Guardiola. He's got no experience, him this, him that. Whatever he's done, though, it's working, Kuva. And for me, they do look like a mini Man City without the De Bruynes, and the Haalands, but they look like a mini Man City. And that's clearly from Arteta having been schooled by Pep. Do you know what I mean? He worked with him for years. Would it be more enjoyable to play for Arteta right now than Conte? There's the question.
You've got to say yes, haven't you?
Of course.
They look like they're enjoying the football, playing nice stuff, yeah. Anybody that likes playing the game, you're stroking the ball around with confidence and freedom, and it's going to be a more enjoyable game. They look relaxed always. We look nervous, tense in those first halves each time. It's really noticeable. Even when they're under pressure, they still play football properly.
Can I add one thing? Sorry, Cove. One thing before we carry on. Another thing for that is that they've not got one player that's bailing them out either. We got Kane at the moment. Kane don't score. We're really struggling for goals. Now Bentancur's chipped in a little bit, but Jesus is sort of running around, but he's not banging in goals for them. They've got goals all over the pitch, so they're all getting involved, and that's a massive difference. Everyone's chipping in. They've got. If you look at the top 10, the highest goal scorers in the league, there's plenty of Arsenal players like 3s, 4s, 5s, all that, and that's helping them as well. Sorry, Cove.
No, it's cool. You're quite right. I suppose we could start looking at sort of Bentancur, Højbjerg been chipping in with a few, but other than that, you thought Perisic was probably going to chip in with a few. He hasn't scored yet, has he? Where are the goals coming about? Kulusevski back is a massive plus for us. Without that.
Huge.
But other than that, we're pretty disappointed. And as you said, Sava, I mean, you wouldn't want to play for us if you got a choice of playing for Arsenal, Man City, even Newcastle as well. They're also starting to look the part fully now.
So let me ask you a question then, Kuva. Sean, you're going to tail onto this. Dovetail, I think is the right terminology. Coattails, I don't know, something. You're next, basically. In terms of players wanting to play this style, I know a lot of fans will turn around, especially if I ever say, like, oh, I don't like this style of football, which I don't, right? People will go, oh, my God, but he's a winner and he's won wherever he's been and blah, 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 blah. But could there be a point where we do try to pick up players that go, I don't want to play that. I don't want to play not having a lot of the football. Is that going to alienate certain type of players, guys?
Yeah, one player in particular that I'm worried about is James Maddison. I think right now, I was on Never a Foul podcast earlier on with Newcastle fans, Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans, etc., Man United fans, and we were having a conversation about James Maddison. Where's he going to go? And then Newcastle were close to picking him up.
You just mentioned,
right? But Newcastle were close to tying it up in the summer.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Well, hang about. Tottenham have got their name in the hat, probably, hopefully." And all of them laughed and went as if he would come to Tottenham over Newcastle right now. And I was like, "Fuck, that's that's an indictment."
That's where we are.
And these guys aren't just bullying me because I'm a Tottenham fan, because they would bully Newcastle just as likely, because they're all rival shows, right? It's all banter. But they were saying, ain't no way Maddison would come to Tottenham and play that style of football when you can go and work under Eddie Howe and be a part of that project. And they're going to pay him more money anyway, because they've obviously got that, they can blank checkbook stuff. So, and Yuri Tillemans, another player like Weston McKennie. I don't know if any of those players that we need to fill that kind of box to box or creative role, I don't know if any of those guys would rather come to Tottenham over a team that is on the up and up and plays better football right now. And that's a worry for me.
Likewise with hanging on to any of our players that are good. I mean, I've been a Spurs fan all my life, so it's a good 45 years of following our club. Even if I was playing and I was Harry Kane and supported for that long, if someone like Real Madrid came and say, we want you, I would have my sombrero on and suitcases and out on the airport straight away.
Bottles of soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You only got to look at what we've done with Basuma and what happened to him when he came. I don't want to be like that. Yeah, I ain't having that. He's like a shadow of his former self. I know he played well today, but since he's been here, he's been put in a completely different position that he usually plays. So if am I going to go there and get put in? I could end up being right wing back at this rate. Or
let's talk about that though, Pete. What do you see as Basuma's, like, if you whatever manager, like if you were the manager and you wanted to play your style of football, do you see Basuma's best role in the six protecting the back four or back five?
No.
What do you see him doing?
I see him being a box-to-box player. I'd have Højbjerg sitting behind him doing the defensive work, and then Bentancur and Basuma getting up and down. That's what he did at Brighton. That's why we bought him. That's what he did to us.
He looked good today. He had really good footwork in the first half.
I thought he was good. And he stopped a lot of attacks, but he wasn't a holding midfielder at Brighton. Yeah, he's being wasted in my opinion at our club because we're not using him to his full potential.
Well, when we played the three of them in a line, horizontal line at Manchester United, with I think it was Højbjerg on the left of a zonal, and I think it was Basuma in the middle and Bentancur on the right. The three of them looked absolutely awful. You played 3 box to boxes there against United, and we got torn.
Yeah, but you don't allow them to be box to box. That's the problem. That you got the players what their skill set is, and then you got sort of how Conte is utilising them. Is different because if they don't, if Conte says don't go and do this, they're not going to do it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I think we're massively, I think we're massively underutilising Basuma. It's like Conte's given him a rucksack full of bricks and said, "There you go. When you play, I want you to wear that." Yeah, because he's not the player we bought. Yeah, and you can say that for many players.
He's a great athlete, isn't he? He's got a lot more mobility than.
And he's sitting back, and he's got the engine to get up and down. And you think, what is going on here? What are we buying for?
It's an interesting one, right, guys? Because look, this is the thing. I think that a lot of Spurs fans. By the way, for everyone asking, David will be back with us next week. Obviously, it's match day, so he has his own thing on match day, so he will be back next week. It's an interesting one, guys, because we talked about this last week, right? Sean and Hoover and Pete. We spoke about this loads of times. That we said it's all well and good. The summer just gone, saying, well, it's okay. We'll get the players Conte want next summer. But as we know, that was the time to do it when we had Champions League. We had this. We were better than Arsenal. We were better than Newcastle. Now, all of a sudden, chuck into the mix, well, do you get top 4 for next summer? Now, I'm not debating if we're going to get top 4 or not, but it's not dead cert. You've now got Newcastle that are going to start flexing some financial muscle. Arsenal that look like, let's be really, really honest, if Arsenal don't get the top 4 now, it will be a complete and utter failure from where they are right now. And all of a sudden, these players that we want are drifting further and further away because there are more and more teams that can go out and get them, as opposed to last summer where it was, we're the ones in Champions League. We're the ones with Conte. We're the ones with the stadium. Pete, is this a worry? Is this a genuine worry that we're not going to be able to get top players because of these things?
Well, yeah, and adding to the fact that Conte is likely to be gone in the summer, so then you got that whole transition again. Do you know what I mean? I don't have much faith in Paratici either. Then we're all up in the air again. It took us how long to put Nuno in the end? The last summer, the one before when it all went wrong.
76 days, isn't it?
Yeah, 76 days, just before the start of the season, basically. What, 2 weeks, something like that? So you think, can we afford to have that again? There's no, I don't see the selling point for a top player at the moment. Then you think Harry Kane could be out of the door soon because his contract's going to be up. Where's the selling point? That's not, I wouldn't say there's a team that's looking like going to be competing in 2 to 3 years. I personally don't see it. Forget about what Conte's done elsewhere. Look at where we are now, the football we're playing, the way we're operating, all the uncertainty around the club at the moment. Conte don't believe in it himself, otherwise he would have signed something by now to say, yeah, I'm staying. So,
but do you want him to spend 200 million quid though? Like I always had this. We had this conversation. I think it was last week, Sava, right on the show.
What if he's not staying?
What if he's not going to commit? This is the thing for me is like,
I'll give him nothing.
Who's spending the money? Is it Paratici spending it because he's here for the next 5-10 years, or is it? Are you giving it? Are you letting? How much of the influence goes to Conte, knowing that he's a here today, probably gone tomorrow manager at best in the next 6 months? at worst in the next 6 months, at best in the next 2 years. And the players that you buy, you're buying for the next 5 years on a contract. And this guy doesn't play with a back four like most managers do. He plays with a back five. So if you buy players to play very specific roles, like a central-sided centre-back, you either go and buy a master of that role, and then when Conte does fuck off, you have to get the next manager in who's going to utilise the master of that central back three, or you get a jack-of-all-trades centre-back that can pivot and play either in the centre or on the left or the right of the four. And to me, I don't want any more jacks of all trades. I want someone to be, but I don't know if I want to trust Conte with 200 million quid if he's going to, like...
No, I agree. Sava, I nailed my colours to the mast on him many weeks ago, and I've said, if he's not going to commit, why are we going to commit? Exactly. It seems like a lot of our fans saying if Conte wants whatever he wants, we should be bending over backwards for him. No, there's got to be a bit of mutual flexibility here. So if he can't commit, 100%. Don't give him nothing. Not that I think he has the same token. I don't think he has the biggest influence on the players that come in. I think that's Paratici, and that's a different argument, because where's his players? You know what I mean? 1 minute they're all his players, then some of them are not his players, but the evidence is in who the players he picks.
It depends if we win a game. Just quickly, we'll come back to it. We'll come back. First and foremost, someone let Bob Spur into the chat, and graciously he has donated some money to the British Heart Foundation and called us beautifully average-looking people, as always. Thank you, Bob. We try our best to look beautifully average. It's just the way we were born. Jamie Allen, thank you very much, has come in and said, once again, our wing-backs were rubbish. Yeah, I think we can pretty much guarantee that most times they step onto the pitch. Not really sure about the name, my friend, but seeing as the name
I see that. Yeah.
He didn't kill himself.
You know what? In my chats, I don't know if it's the same for you guys in your shows. I get Jeffrey Epstein. I get Nicholas Cruz, who's the Parkland shooter. I get Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Savatalk's mums, Savatalk's Cucurella. It's just, I don't know how people have the time to do it. But
I get about 3 people in my chat, so I'm all right.
Well, I'm still waiting for a Jeffrey Dahmer on yours, Sava.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Give it 5 minutes.
John Wayne Gacy, something like that. Big quality one.
Like a real, like the BTK. Yeah, the BTK.
Absolutely.
And Borodin, we will discuss this later. Thank you very much for the super chat, and we will discuss whether or not we would have started Kulu. I think everyone would have if he was fit. I just don't think the fitness is probably quite there, but we will come back to this. So thank you very much for all your super chats. Let's go back to that then, guys. I mean, this is, Sean, we talked about this massively last week.
Yeah.
And there's so many viewpoints on this, and in YouTube chats all day, every day, and on Instagram, I'm debating with people, and they're saying to me, oh, what don't you understand? If he's backed, he'll sign a new contract. Talking about Conte. And I'm like, no, I fully understand that. But you then need to fully understand that I don't back the project until he backs the project, right? So for me, if Conte signs, it all falls on his shoulders, because that's him saying, right, he's been told by the board or by Parity or whoever that he is going to get what he needs to take this club to the next step. If he doesn't sign that, why do I as a fan sit here right now going, I'm really excited about where this club's going under Antonio Conte?
Yeah, listen, you make a really valid point, mate. You make a really valid point, and it's a brave point, because, a lot of the fans will pigeonhole you into one way or the other. I think what's brave about your stance, Sava, is that, some people would say you either are Levy out, or like if you're not Levy out, then that allows you to be Conte out. Or that that kind of binary kind of partisanship, like left-right politics, all that nonsense.
Bollocks.
You're kind of a bit of both. You're like, I don't really care if Conte stays or goes, because if he goes, at least we'll get someone else to play better football. But you still hold true. I'm kind of a bit like you with the opposite sort of stance. Like I'm more worried about the new owner, whoever it is. Better the devil you know. That's where my kind of reservations come from. But I'm not enamored. Like when we had this long time ago, when we had that massive debate about what's important as a football fan, is it trophies or is it progress? And is like, for me, when I said what I said about that, It's because to me, football is about the experience, the memories, like the highs and the lows, the emotions, and those kind, and the experiences, right? That kind of thing to me matters more than a trophy that we won in 1982 or whatever. Like, I don't care about those records on scoreboards. I care about the things that I see, and I'm not enjoying the football that I'm seeing right now. I really am not. And I don't think my heart can take many more of those kind of Marseille nights where I went through the emotional roller coaster. I'm sure we all did. Like, but
you struggled, didn't you, on Tuesday night?
I had to walk off the stream for a minute because I thought I was having like a mild heart attack. My heart was skipping a beat and stuff. So I don't know if I can handle it. But it's not like, that's not an emotional roller coaster that I'm enjoying. That's because we put ourselves in it. We shot ourselves in the foot and we try and run through quicksand.
Sean, you were having a mild semi-heart attack whilst Kuva just had a mild semi. So
nothing mild about that, my friend.
It was a mature semi.
Yeah.
But Sean, this is the thing. Listen, and look, this is what makes me laugh. Like, loads of people will come on to me and they'll go, "Oh God, I've said it again. Come on to me." Loads of people will have a go at me and go, "Just admit it, you're Conte out." I've literally got to the point with this club where it's not that I'm actively wanting Conte out. I just actively don't enjoy what he produces.
Yeah.
And that's my right as a fan. Yeah. That I don't see heroic comebacks against Bournemouth and Marseille as, "Oh my God, Conte's got us going in the right direction." I see that as it's been terrible and we've had to come back and fight again.
Yeah. And I'm on the same page with that one. Like, for me, look, I don't know what to say about it. Like, I don't want to see us have to shoot ourselves in the foot to start playing football. It's a repetitive nightmare. And sometimes we get through it. Sometimes we don't. We're tagged as a team that's unsustainable with our football. Today, it proved to be unsustainable. Last week, it proved to be sustainable. At the end of the day, I just want to see us be able to play football to the best of our ability with a more of attacking flair. And some days you're going to win, some days you're going to lose anyway. But I'd rather lose going for it than run out of time trying to chase a game where we didn't need to be on the back foot anyway. And I know today was the blight was because of individual mistakes from Eric Dyer or the back three again. But I mean, it's whatever, whether it's individual mistakes or just, sitting back and inviting them on. And eventually, if you put enough pressure on something, it's eventually going to crack. I'd rather see us play with the front foot football. Sorry,
I'll be honest. If this is what is on offer the next 3 years, I don't want him signing another contract. Yeah. And I've already said, Sava backed me up in our group, that if he's not going to sign a new contract, then I'd pull the plug now and say, go on, off you go. And then spend the World Cup trying to get the new manager in, let him have the rest of the season, and then plan for the summer. I don't see the point of kicking a can down the road to the summer. Yeah, because this is only going to get worse because we're going to get, I mean, we're lucky we didn't get one today, but you can't keep playing this way. Yeah, it's poor to watch. And we got found out today, and we're going to get found out another time, and we'll be found out again. So if this is what's on offer, it's not for me. I'd say thanks, but no thanks, because it's not what I get to football for, to watch these sort of games. And I can understand. I can take losing to Liverpool, Man United, and all that. I cannot go to Bournemouth. Now and again, you'll have an odd day where you start shit, but then you come back and win the game. It happens to every team, but we're doing it every single week. And for me, do I want to spend another 4 years of watching Tony Pulis football where we sit back and then our best attack is set pieces? Not for me.
So who would be your next? Oh, sorry, Coop. Sorry, mate.
Right, I was just going to say, the phrase "kicking the can down the road" seems to be appropriate for everything at the club at the moment. Yeah, transfers that we can't get rid of players. We're making do with long-term players that haven't been good enough in the past, re-signing them. Longer contracts, extensions. It's like we're not ever dealing with the heart of the problem. It's kicking the can there.
I'll tell you one thing that I think that's a really good point in terms of kicking the can, etc. But one thing I do want to say is there are lots of comments like this saying, Conte's hands were tied today, blah, blah, blah. The problem is I seem to hear this every week after a performance like that. It doesn't seem to matter who's available. So let's be honest, right? Okay, today, Son was unavailable, Romero and Richarlison. But let's break this down. Richarlison's not done a thing all season, right? Let's be really honest.
Neither Son.
Son's done absolutely nothing all season.
Is that because Kulusevski hasn't been there?
No, listen, possibly. But my point is this, is that all of a sudden, because now today they didn't play and we lost, it's, well, if Son had played, we would have X, Y, Z. And it's like, well, would we have? Because he's not shown that this year. And Romero's not been...
I'm not saying that.
I'm seeing loads of comments as we go through. But my point is this, right? My point is, I keep hearing that he's a world-class manager, right? And that debate will go on to the end of time. Is he elite? Is he world-class? But I'm not looking at any of these players improving under him, if I'm really, really brutally honest about this. I'm not seeing any of them better than before he came in. And the way I'm going to back this up is by talking about Newcastle United, right? I'm going to talk about Newcastle United, and whichever one of you can start with this. Newcastle United today in their 11 had Fabian Schär, Dan Burn, Almiron, Willock, Longstaff, and Murphy. 6 players that played week in, week out when Newcastle United were bottom of the table and hadn't won a league game in 13 games. Right? Now, yes, they've sprinkled a few players in there with them, but how has Eddie Howe then taken them from bottom to being this team now that play on the front foot, that go at teams, that create...
Best defence in the league.
That attack, the best defence in the league. And yet with Conte, whenever we lose, it's never Conte's fault. It's always the players. Sorry, guys, there's got to be... I'm going to just say it now. There's got to be something on Conte.
Can I add to that?
If Eddie Howe can do it, why can't Conte?
And Sava, I said this to you the other day in our group. Since Conte came in, if you drew a graph, right, of the quality of the player that's come through the door, it's slowly gone up. We'd agree, yeah, with Bentancur, Kulusevski, Bissouma, blah, blah, yeah. We've not lost any big player that we didn't want to lose, yeah.
Yep.
We've added better players than what we had, and we've lost some crap.
Mm-hmm.
So that graph slightly goes up, not massive because it's coming from it creeps up. But the football, if you drew the quality of the football, it's gone the complete opposite direction.
Since when?
Since Conte came in, yeah. So you talk about since the day he walked through the door, the quality of the player that we've started to bring in places, the squad has crept up a little.
I agree with that part, but the part where you say the football is worse now than it was under Nuno.
Since Conte's come in, the football shit under Nuno.
Yeah.
But since Conte's come in, we've had a little bit of spike, but the overall football to turns where we are now is gone like that, and it's gone downhill.
The football's getting worse under Conte.
That's what I'm saying. It's gone downhill. The quality of the squad has slightly gone up.
Yeah.
But the quality of football has gone down. They've gone in the opposite. Where they should sort of correlate together, they've gone in complete opposite directions.
But
Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, they've gone one's that way, one's that way.
But Pete, this is what I mean here, right? So it's comments like this, guy. So it's like, Philo, big up to yourself, Philo. I said, Sava, Conte's had one window, which is incorrect. He's had 2. Do you really think this is the team he wants? No, absolutely. But is any manager at Spurs ever going to have the team they want? And you have to judge when he gets his team he's fully happy with. But to bring it back into context, Pete, in terms of what I was talking about with Newcastle, Eddie Howe has had the exact same number of windows, right? Spent, I believe, when we worked it out, something like this, like a £4 million difference in what the two clubs have spent.
212 versus 207, I think it is. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's be really honest. If 5 million in football, I know that sounds ridiculous. 5 million in football is nothing, right? And he's got them, and I'm not talking about they're above us in the league for 1 week or whatever, but from where he's taken them, where he's picked them up to where they are now, to watching players like Almiron scaring the crap out of Premiership defences. Players like Willock and Longstaff look like steady, assured Premier League players. Fabian Schär, who was awful, is now looking solid and is part of a back four, which is the best in the league. How has he done that?
Joel Linton becoming a centre midfielder who was a striker.
Right. And they're doing this without Shelby's been injured. Alan Saint-Maximin's been injured for, the last month. Isak's injured. So as much as people can say we've had injuries, blah, blah, they're doing exactly the same as us, but their manager's getting their players to perform there and has for a year. So why is there so much protection, guys, for Conte? Why is this world-class manager not being held to account for the football we are playing?
Desperation, mate. so many things go wrong. So many managers don't get backed. We're at the point now where if this doesn't work, what is there? We'll be back to no and searching around. That's all it is, as far as I'm concerned. Because the football, as we're all agreeing, is crap. The results now are not coming either. Against the big teams, we fail to win any of those games. We're even losing to the big teams that win the home games now as well. That's quite significant because the teams above us are not doing that. I think it is just that it's desperation point amongst fans as well as chairman for me. He signed Conte because there's no, he can't really go for anybody else now.
Guys, I've gone.
Sorry, Sean. I was saying what something you touched on earlier. There is this silly idea and thing amongst the fans that if you do criticise Conte, that automatically puts you into the Levy inbox, which is
people are afraid of being pigeonholed.
You can't have there can only be ever one problem at the club, not that 100%. There can be. You could have. I've got my own opinions on Levy. That's one problem. Then there seems to be Conte's another problem. There's multiple problems, not just one.
There's a blame pie. Everyone
go back to the root cause. Exactly. Go back to the root cause, but there is still other problems at the club. So people are like, if I say I don't say I'm Conte. I've had it on I get, you must be Levy in. Well, not really. No, I'm not. But it doesn't mean Levy don't pick Emerson Royal every week. Yeah. Levy don't tell the team to sit in our box and our half every week. Do you know what I mean? You can't blame Levy for everything.
I'd also go. Oh,
sorry, just really quickly, Sean. Just quickly. Look, it's the same old people that will say the same old thing. So, like Billy, when you're saying stop comparing us to others, well, how else can we judge the job he's doing? Because
there's got to be a metric somewhere.
There's got to be. You've got to measure against something. Dunkel's said they're playing one game a week, but listen, at the end of the day, that's what we signed up to. What we didn't sign up to get in Champions League football and bringing in Conte and go, well, it's okay if we don't play well because he's playing.
Well, we had that last year. We played like one game a week last year. We still played plenty of shit football.
Exactly. So for me, and again, James, this is where two of these, one of these. No one said Conte out. No one. There's a difference between me sitting here and saying, if I woke up tomorrow and he was gone, I wouldn't care, versus I actively want him sacked. I want him. I don't know how many times I state this. Sorry, Coover, you hear this so many times. I want him to let us play how we play in the second half of football games. It's really that simple. Start the games like that. Have control of the ball. Go at teams. Attack. The first half, I can't have it. Sorry, as you were, Sean. Apologies, mate.
Yeah, listen, I agree with what all three of you have said on this particular topic. The only thing I'd throw in there is I say it quite a lot because I do think that some people, not all people, some people may overlook the importance of what happens when you go a goal down or when you go a goal up in a game. And I think that when if Tottenham were to go a goal up or 2 goals up early in a game, then like we did last season against Everton, like we did against Newcastle, like we did against Villa, that they could, like the other team have to come out like we tried to today. Liverpool could have, if they were more clinical in the second half, maybe have gone and beaten us 3 or 4-0 and we'd be throwing our toys out of the pram. But there's a consequence that you have to push out and go for it. And I think that if you take that point where I'm going with it, some of the problem with the style of football would look better if we had better players or our better players doing better things. If Sonny had been slightly more, I don't know, more consistent with his form, taking the chances that he's had with his XGs that he hasn't converted. Same with Harry Kane. Same with Decky in the first part of the season. Same with Lucas Moura when he's played. Like some of our forward players that haven't taken those opportunities, had they done, then we would have gone 1-0, 2-0 up in certain games. And then the other team has to come out. And then Tottenham obviously then look like they're a more attractive football team to watch because the other team are not going to be sitting back and we have more ability to break again. And the fact that didn't happen, the absence of that.
Right?
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you.
I get it that there's times when, look, you could go in front and that changes the dynamic. But 7 of our last 8 or 7 of our last 9 games, we've gone behind.
Yeah.
We've won 2 of our last 5 games.
Yeah.
When looking at the metric of, right, okay, who are the teams in and around us? Right, Liverpool, because they'll be in and around top 4 come the end of the season. Liverpool beat us at our ground. Newcastle beat us at our ground. Arsenal, all right, at their ground, but beat us quite easily. Yeah, Chelsea should have beaten us. Man United absolutely tore us a new one. Look what Villa did to them today. It just feels like it's an ongoing...
The common denominator.
It's the same thing every week. Now, we've got Nottingham Forest and Leeds coming up, right? Nottingham Forest in the Cup and then Leeds in the league. What are we going to do? Do the same thing. First half, go a goal down, then come back and win, and people go, Antonio. That's not... That can't be the tactic, Sean, can it? Surely.
At this rate, listen, we've got Nottingham Forest in a few days' time. Can you imagine what's going to happen if we happen to lose away at Forest and get dumped out?
The only thing that can in our favour there is that they'll probably rest a lot of players because they've got about 48 players in their ground anyway that they bought this summer. But they're more worried about staying in the league, so they'll just blow this out. Yeah,
maybe. I hope so.
And then we'll put out. We can rest them. You never know. We might see Spence. Who knows? Yeah. Anything's pot. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they did very well in the cup last season, didn't they? I know it was the FA Cup, but
look at the last time we went there. We went there and they played us off the park. We just snatched a 2-goal win and sort of smash and grab and had it way on our toes. So we got Leeds. No, I'm not. We've got Leeds coming up who are starting to pick up wins. Really. That's 2 on the bounce. One of them against Liverpool away, but they're finding goals. They're pick and they will smother you. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is as well, this is an interesting one. We'll go on to this a bit more later. But Steve D, thank you for another super chat. Steve D has said the Spurs way for many of us is important. Now, look, whilst I'm not this is our DNA and all that, and I don't think that for the last 25, 30 years, every year has been free-flowing champagne football. I do feel that as a football fan, I have a right, the same way Kuva, you do, Sean, you do, Pete, you do, the 300 people in the chat, everyone has a right to say, I don't enjoy this. And Kuva, you always use it's a spectator sport, right? And what I'm seeing in the first half of games, I'm spectating every other team that plays us other than Tottenham Hotspur. How important is this statement?
Yeah, for me, what got me into football? It's not looking at league tables and looking at points. It's love of the game. I want to be entertained. I want to enjoy what I'm watching. There's going to be excitement. I mean, I'm happy. I can happily watch a game of football when it's, kids throw some training tops down on the pitch or goalposts. Yeah. Have a kick about it. You can still enjoy it. Yeah. No, Bob Spur, not that kind of way either. But you've got to be watching things that get you off your seat. Something that
like and subscribe.
What was that? That was the worst comment I've ever seen.
Listen, could I just say it? So I think I've seen a post from him earlier on. He said, "Stop talking and reply to the comments." Now, this is catch-22 because if I just sat here reading out everyone's comment, right? There's nearly 300 people in this chat. We would never actually have any football debates. So it's catch-22, and then you don't, and you're called an ignorant CUNT. So, hey, ho, what can you do?
That was the best comment I've ever seen.
I make you right. Listen, I think it's important that there is something in terms of winning, right? But you know what I've said for months and months now. When people keep saying to me, well, if this wins a trophy, you won't be complaining. This isn't winning a trophy when you can't beat West Ham, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, Newcastle, Liverpool. Does everyone think we're going to get to a final and win by not playing any of these teams? You're not going to win a trophy playing like this, are you, Cougar? I'm sorry. I just fail to believe it.
And the elephant in the room is that when this was said to fans last time when Jose was here, this is how you win a trophy. No, I don't want to win a trophy like that. I'm not having that. That trophy would mean nothing. I mean, it's complete double standard. If Jose was serving up that football and picked that lineup that we saw today, there'd be fucking. Can you imagine?
For sure. So, right, let's talk about that then. I'll go to you first, Kuva, and then Pete, you can jump in after that. Why is that then, Kuva? Because this is no different, if not worse for me, than some of the football we witnessed under Jose Mourinho with worse players. Let's be really honest. Jose never had Christian Romero, Longley, Perisic, Basuma, Bentancur, Kulusevski. He didn't have these players. And everyone, it wasn't Levy, it wasn't Enoch, it was Jose Mourinho. He's a dinosaur. Now we're seeing it under Conte. It's, oh my God, this guy's a winner. You've got to stick with him. He's going to win you things. Do you think this is the team he wanted? He's not being backed. Is this double standards we're seeing from across the fan base?
Yeah, I think it's part of it. I mean, all this argument about the way we're playing and everything, and who's to blame. For me, it just summed up by the fact that compare the first half performances to the second half performances. Quite clearly, we can play a better way of football. Quite clearly, we're not starting that in that sort of vein of the way of playing. So I'm going to question: is the manager setting the team up to start the games in the right way? Has he prepared the team to do what they do in the second half and the first half? Doesn't seem to be. That's got to be down to management, coaching, preparation, mindset of the players. Surely. It can't just be all 11 players just suddenly just switch off automatically just because one thing happens on the pitch.
I mean, yeah, listen, I agree. I mean, Pete, back onto that for me. I mean, for me, this is something I always throw at people. I always said at the time when Jose was here, do I like his football? No, but he's not being backed, right? Now that Conte's here and he's got a much better squad than Jose had, it's back him, he's a winner, it will come, give him 3 years. I don't understand how it's one rule for Jose, it's another rule for Conte. One's a dinosaur, one's an elite manager. I don't see the difference in what we're doing, if I'm really honest. I don't.
One of them was backed more than the other.
Who?
Conte.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Conte's been backed more than Jose was.
Would you say Conte was backed though? Because I don't know what your takes are on the summer. I know you're unhappy with the window generally because the players that we signed haven't really. Yeah, but.
Yeah, was he backed?
So everybody was like Bissouma. Wow, even rival fans as well. 30 million quid for Bissouma. Everyone was excited. Today was the first time I've seen anything like the Bissouma that we saw at Brighton. Like,
yeah, look,
Richarlison shit show, in my opinion. Look, 60 million quid. Sorry, mate.
I sum it up like this: was Conte back to the point where I thought that he could really kick on, mount a title chat? No. No, but has he had enough players in his 2 windows for us to not be playing the way we're playing now, and for us to be better than that? I truly believe he has. And if you look at the difference between then and now, Joe, as I said just now when you popped off, Jose didn't have Romero, he didn't have Longley, he didn't have Perisic, Bissouma, Bentancur, Kulusevski. If you want to chuck Richarlison in there as well, he had the likes of Lo Celso, Joe Rodon
and Ndombele.
Right. So
Harry Winks.
Fans were livid. Fans were livid with him. Get him out. He's shocking.
It's a really good point, Sava. It's a really good point. Yeah.
This is what I've been saying for ages. And you think about, it's not just about the backings of what come in. It's the fact that Conte's been able to come in and go, on Ndombele, don't want him, he's gone. Dele Alli, don't want him, he's gone. Lo Celso, get rid of him.
It's not that easy to get rid of players, is it?
No, but I'm saying, Mourinho had to try and make a team out of these players. How many formations and different shapes and systems did Mourinho try to get the best out of Ndombele, for example? Yeah.
So what's the difference then? Why did fans have zero patience with Mourinho? And why did fans have so much patience?
Wasn't it? Because he was a pantomime villain as soon as he walked through the door. Because he was Mourinho. It was not a football thing. It's because he had the reputation that since Man United, and because he was the one that followed.
He's on the down as well. On the downward.
He was on a hide into nothing. Because really,
interesting. Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's,
no, I get it. Yeah.
Listen,
and you look at
Conte can walk on water, but Mourinho sinks in sand. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Conte's like Moses, and
let me just make this clear though, Pete. Right? I'm not saying to anyone in the chat, Jose was sacked, so Conte should be. I'm not saying that. My point is this: is the moment anyone criticizes a single thing Conte does, it's not in what's he meant to do, but the manager that had a worse squad than him and did at least try things was a dinosaur. I'm just struggling.
Did you still want Mourinho to leave though before he left or not?
No, I didn't want Mourinho to leave.
You were happy to give him more time, give him more money.
I was at the position where if I said,
and he got a final.
I said in that summer he probably has to go for the only one reason was the fact that the players look like I didn't think they'd change enough players to give him a proper crack at the whip, where they'd have to get rid of so many because so many needed to go. So I thought you need to get a new manager in who could try and make something of what we've got, because we're not a club that's going to turn over that many players. That was the only reason why I wanted him. Said he's got to go. I didn't want him to go.
Yeah,
but
makes sense.
Want to go.
Yeah,
but same thing with Dele Alli. Look at how much abuse he got over the way he treated Dele Alli. You're mistreating him. He should be playing. He should be this. You ruined his career.
He was right.
And everything he said within a week walking through the door, you need to sort your life out, or you're going to end up really coming unstuck. And he was bang on. Yeah.
So on that basis, then, right? I hear exactly what you're saying, Pete, and I really admire the point. I haven't thought of it that way before. Do you think that Conte, whether or not Conte's here for the long term, is it a good thing that he's here now, even if we hate the football, because the fact that he's here means that ENIC and Joe Lewis and Daniel Levy are going to, in all likelihood, we hope, give another 200 million quid very quickly, hopefully in January, but if not in January, then in the summer, to try and get maybe 100 quid in January, maybe 200 quid over the
100
next 2
quid,
windows.
yeah, that's about right. 100
million, sorry, 100 million. But do you think that, like, my point being that, like, even if Conte's not here, the fact that Conte is here right now means that there should be more money available. And if Conte wasn't here, and if there was a lesser stature manager, that maybe ENIC and Joe Lewis wouldn't be under the pressure to give the money that they hopefully will. So that maybe we could improve the squad, even if it means even if Conte's only here for the next 6 months.
Well, this is what I don't know how to answer that. Mate, Laz, go back to what I said before. If he's not going to stay, then don't give. Let's just cut ties and move on. Start the next process. What is the point? Yeah. Because if he's going to go, and I think to be honest, I think he would have signed by now. You don't leave it this long. He's just waiting for the phone call, waiting for an opportunity to either get intact, or because he don't quit, or just see his contract out. Because he would have signed by now. There's no reason not to. Do you know what I mean? You can have that conversation, have that guarantees. All that could be done, would have been done by now. So for me, the fact he's not signing tells me, and you look at his body language, and for me, the players as well, it's not happy camp. It don't look happy. Yeah.
For me, sorry, Pete.
Go on.
I was going to say, for me, the more prominent figure at the club at the moment is going to be Paratici, because he is potentially going to be staying here longer. And his biggest job at the moment is probably getting these players off the books that are out on loan. Because if we don't do that, I cannot see us bringing these players in.
No,
we're not going to break the wage structure by having to pay wages of players out on loan and new players in. Something's got to give. I'll see that being his biggest role at the moment. If he manages to do that and get rid of all this dead wood we don't want, with attitudes that we think are holding the club back, then even if Conte walks, at least the manager that comes in next has got a fresh start with players that are at least willing to take on board what he wants to do.
I agree with that, Koof, but I think the problem we've got is that there's no money. We either got to write off a lot of these value and just get rid of them, because Daniel Levy,
I think we can do that now, though.
Doesn't like doing that.
I think we can do it now, though, Pete. I was saying this last week. I think with the not that I want to bore everyone again with the same point, but just super quickly, I think because Tottenham signed 2 players in Kulusevski and in Bentancur, and their true valuations have gone up as significantly as they have, I do think with the ability to write down depreciating assets, I do think that Tottenham can probably take a bit of...
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
I think they can probably take a hit on some of those players
they
now.
They can do, but will they? Historically, they don't. Yeah, because we're talking about a big drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's egos involved as well. I mean, Daniel Levy signing off.
Sorry, I do like describing Harry Winks as a depreciating asset, to be honest.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Poor bastard's coming back. He's coming back to Tottenham.
They're all coming back. But the problem is there's no money in Europe. There's no money in Europe, in European football, to buy this. Yeah, so you either none of the Premier League are going to touch him, because they're like, hey, shit, we've seen him. Yeah, we've roasted him. Why do we want him?
Well, I think they're going to cut. I think Sampdoria, are going to try their best to cut his loan, because he wants to have a surgery on. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's his ankle or something, and that's going to take him out for 4 months. And so Sampdoria are saying, he ain't kicked the ball for us. Why are we going to pay his salary for the next 6 months? Like, go back to Tottenham. I feel a little bit sorry for Harry Winks, not to take off tangent, but Harry Winks, say what you want about him as a football player, he's not good enough for where we want to be, but he's never been anything but a professional.
No, I agree with that. The abuse he got was uncalled for, because I think there was players in that squad like Ndombele who didn't put the effort in and got and the fans, there's still fans out there now with fan accounts about him. Yeah, and he does not deserve that adulation one bit. Where Winks, say what you said about his ability, but you can't question his heart. I think the biggest problem, the biggest person that fucked up Winks was Poch by not loaning him out. Yeah, that sort of thing where he kept everyone at the club. That ruined him. Yeah, he never got a chance to progress properly.
Just quickly, Nigel Watson. No, you haven't missed anything. Listen, but what I would say is, whenever Spurs fans come onto Spurs, any football fan goes onto any one of their club's channels, you have to have these debates, right? It would be a really boring world if we just sat there and went, "Oh, is Conte going to sign? Yeah, he's all definitely going to sign, and we all love him." There wouldn't really be a debate. So no one said
it's a good conversation.
No one said Conte is going. My whole point from all of this, Nigel, has been I will get behind the club project and the Conte project when Conte gets behind his own project. At the moment, we're hearing a lot about, lots of cryptic messages. When's the right time to sit down? We will. It's like, well, what does that mean? Surely the right time, your contract's up in about 7 months. Like, surely that time is...
It's agents doing it anyway. It's not as if he sits down, it's the agents. He gets the phone call. Management. That's the contract on offer. Do you want it? No. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Look at the state of this.
Can I just ask you guys a quick? Let me just ask you a quick question, and then you can with the comment. I do want to ask you guys: do you think that Conte, even if, because for me, I think that the massive problem that we have, the biggest problem, is not the lack of creativity. I think some of that is solved if we go and sort out our defence. If we can replace, Dyer and Davies, and have next season or even in February a Romero and then 2 worldies at centre back. I think that on some level allows some of the players we have to be able to do more things going forward. It allows more trust. What I would ask you, though, is even if we do all that stuff, has Conte ever played super attractive football? Did he play super attractive football when he was at Chelsea? Did he play super attractive football at Inter?
Effective. He had Eden Hazard playing in the prime of his life.
But was it football that we want to watch?
I mean... It was.
I'd say it wasn't football. It was players. It was players we could watch. You had Eden Hazard.
That's a good statement. Yeah,
Eden Hazard, who was getting a ball and just tearing through people and running the game. You had Kante, you'd watch run all over the place, and you had Cesc Fabregas, who was a cultured player. Yeah, Diego Costa, you could watch because he'd like winding people up. Do you know what I mean? You'd pay just for that. Good defenders. They're good players to watch, and the football was effective. It weren't a masterclass, but every time we played him, we got torn up, but it was effective in terms of what he did at that time. But you look at the second season, and it all went to shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you can't look at his one season. You've got to look at his whole time at Chelsea. I think our fans are a bit blinded by that.
Let me just a couple of comments I want to read, both from James Hunter. So I think a lot of our fans enjoy seeing our club in permanent flux. That's the only conclusion I can come to. James, it's not that we enjoy seeing the club in permanent flux. We just are in permanent flux, right? We would love to be sitting here like Man City, and our debate every year could be, well, we won the league last year. We've got to win the Champions League this year. I'd love that to be the debate, but that's not where we are, James. And if fans like you think that everything is rosy in the garden, I'm happy with that, but it's not reality. And then you've come on to say, this is what makes me laugh. Sava, you need someone on the panel who disagrees with you, can't stand on this agreement. I mean, Sean and I don't agree on loads.
I disagree with Sava many times. I've fallen out with Sava more times than I haven't, if I'm entirely honest.
If you want to watch Raz, watch Jeremy Cole. It's a debate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Listen, what you're seeing, James, is you're actually seeing people with different opinions, but that don't actually fall out or
could be last word on Spurs. Could be worse.
Yeah. So. So yeah, let's okay, guys. Let's mix things up a little bit here. So
we're going for a row now, are we?
We're going for a row.
Tear up.
I'll disagree with that.
Annual leave. Just away.
Look, let's mix things up a bit here. It's not all doom and gloom. And if we take away, I'll take my playing style hat off. If I take away the fact that I can't stand watching Antonio Conte's football, we are 4th in the league. And we've just won our Champions League group. So there are positives there. At the moment, we're still in all the cups. We'll revisit this on Wednesday night, but at the moment, we're still in all the cups. What needs to happen, and what can happen, guys, between now and January? Because we've got 1 cup game, 1 league game, and then there's 6 weeks off or 5.5 weeks off for the World Cup.
Yeah, and then 2 games at the end of Christmas.
2 games at Christmas. So we've got 3 more league games to negotiate, and then we've got the window. Feasibly, look, we'd all love to see a top centre half, top right wing back, top this, top that. How much of that can realistically be done in the window, guys? And are we believing that it's going to happen?
I don't believe it, but anything can be done if you pay the money. That's always been the case. I don't subscribe to that. It's January, it's hard to do deals and all that when every other club manages to do it. If you want a player, you pay the going rate. If that's what they want, then you pay it, you get the player. It might have to be a little bit more in January, but then that's why you get for leaving it till January. I don't have much faith much will happen, to be honest, because
one of them looks like it's already done, right? It's not been confirmed, but as far as I can see, everyone everywhere is saying that Malinovsky's already done for 13 million. And for me, I know he's not going to light the world, not going to set the world alight, but 13 million quid, he's got a powerhouse of a left foot on him. He's good at set pieces. I think I'm excited by that one. For 13 million quid, like we made more of that just by qualifying into the last 16.
Was he getting our starting 11, in your opinion?
Not if Kulu, Sonny, and Kane is fit.
This is the problem,
forward, right?
There's the
problem. This is the problem.
But when we have an injury, which we have had 5 of them in the forward line.
Yeah, but surely,
surely now you're looking at Son and saying, right, I'm going to buy a player that's better than him. Yeah, because he's got guaranteed shirt.
Sonny this year is a £10 million player, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Sonny's in decline. Let's take it as his age, everything. You pull that into the mix. You got to go, right, this is succession planning. Who's my next one going to be? Because you buy him now and then you breed him in. Like, Son is nearly 30. You got Kane coming up with his contract. All intents and purposes, he say he don't. So you need to start thinking about that now and get someone through the door. But I'm sick of us trying to improve our squad by improving the bench because it doesn't work. You've got to go out and buy players to take the first 11 slots. Yeah, there's a fucking right wing back one open for starters.
But Basuma was brought in to come into the first 11, and the second that happened, Højbjerg raised his game to a new level. Bentancur raised his game to a new level. So I wonder if, I think that
Sonny he played a 3.
Well, now he's playing a 3 because Kulusevski's been injured, because Richardson's injured, because Lucas Moura's been injured. I think that's needs must. But listen, I want to have options. I hear your point. I take your point.
Yeah, I get it. We want options, but you want the quality. You don't want to drop off.
Yeah, but I think Malinovsky's is a level up on Lucas Moura. I think
that's not hard, is it? That's not hard.
It's not.
You're coming from a low bar. That's my point. We need someone to really come in and challenge.
Can I spin this though? Listen, I've got nothing. I like Malinovsky. I would definitely have Malinovsky in the squad. But surely, can I address the elephant in the room with that? Surely the next 2 or 3 players that come in need to be positions where we are weak.
Yeah, centre back,
right wing back, an attacking mid. Like, I like Malinovsky, but if he was like the only signing that come in January,
it'd be a disaster. Be a disaster.
When everyone's fit, you're going Kane, Son, Kulusevski. You've now got Richarlison factored in there. Now you're going to chuck Malinovsky as well, and that's great for depth. But for me, again, still, guys, it doesn't actually cure.
No, you're right.
What the immediate issue is without injuries. The immediate issue of we are crap at the back.
I think the reason why you've heard about Malinovsky being done and dusted already is because it's a pretty easy transfer.
Cheap.
Right? He's not. Well, it's cheap. He's not wanted by Atalanta because I forget the guy's name who's come in and he's absolutely playing out of this world for Atalanta. So Malinovsky doesn't want to be there. He's already said he would go for free in the window in the summer anyway because he's out of contract. So it's an easy 13 million quid. Yes, everyone's a winner. We'll take him in. He wants to play for Spurs. Atalanta want to get some money in, otherwise they're losing for free. And Atalanta don't see it as a massive hit because they've got a player that's playing. If you go to someone else, though, like the players, I take your point, Saba, that we need to go after the areas that are in real trouble. For me, you go to Inter Milan and you've got Skriniar, De Vrij, Bastoni, right? Those 3 players, Tottenham want any one or all of those 3 players if we can get them. But Inter spent all summer with a need to finish the window with a €60 million euro surplus. Otherwise, they couldn't make ends meet. And they spent all summer and without shitting or getting off the pot. They didn't do anything. They didn't want to sell Skriniar to PSG, all that stuff. You kick the can down the road to January. Skriniar can leave for free in the summer, as far as I'm aware. So can De Vrij. So I think that Tottenham now can probably go back to that conversation and get either De Vrij or Skriniar for maybe, I don't know, I think De Vrij probably 10, 15 and Skriniar maybe 30, 35, whatever. I don't know.
With that, Sean, is that other clubs can do that as well.
Yeah.
And we're not known for standing in the fight. As soon as a big shark comes in, we swim away. We're like, no, forget that.
Yeah,
we get
well,
set off easy.
hopefully the contract. Well, this is another problem with Conte not signing a new contract, right?
Too much uncertainty.
Is Bastoni going to come and play for Tottenham Hotspur if he doesn't know if Conte is going to be there? 100%, I'd take that point on board. But if Tottenham can go and make that deal happen, any one of those three players comes in immediately into our starting 11.
Look, that's the thing for me, guys. I completely agree with you, Sean. Look, I want to see more depth added in areas. Of course I do. But I just feel that that's what we did in the summer rather than actually addressing what we need. And for me, I feel the next 3 or 4 transfers, and we've probably said this for about 20 years, the next 3 or 4 transfers have to be
Crucial.
right.
Yeah.
It can't be more kids that fans go, oh, this kid's brilliant on FIFA or whatever, and he's going to be a star. It needs to be not that they're coming in and getting the Basuma treatment of, oh, well, he needs to learn the Antonio Conte way. This needs to be pros that come in, bang, right wing back, bang, centre back. Kuva, what do you make of this? I mean, if Malinowski was the only one, would that be a successful window where we say we've backed the manager?
No, definitely not. Be a help, of course. I mean, we just need numbers up front. But yeah, for me, we've been at the stage for a while now where we've got to be looking at replacing Hugo, central defence, wing backs. We've done a poor job addressing any of that so far.
The goalkeeper's not as urgent as it probably is because he makes mistakes. If you've got priorities, the goalkeeper's 4th or 5th on the list, right?
I'd say it's all a priority. If we're playing out from the back, you've got to have a goalkeeper that's competent at it. Hugo is part of the problem, unfortunately.
I agree with that. And that's likely. If we are to get a new manager, he's likely to want to play out from the back because most modern managers do.
And doesn't this drag on from this? And Rob, big up to yourself, mate. Hope you're well. And if only we had players like Jimmy Greaves now. So like Rob's made a good point, but I want to debate it, Pete. That's what the whole point of this is, right? He said, I'm with you guys. Conte ball is not a great watch, but how long did it take Klopp's project to produce a winning team? Isn't the difference with this, Pete, that Liverpool were coming from a point where, if I remember rightly, that Liverpool team he inherited didn't have big stars such as Kane, Son and Kulusevski already at the club and Lloris, right?
No, they had Coutinho, didn't they? That was it.
Right. So they didn't have all of those.
And Mane.
And Spurs, the difference is now with Spurs is we're saying, okay, how long does it take to produce that winning team? But that means Spurs then under Conte or under whoever the manager is now is going to have to be, right, Kane and Son will slowly but surely in the next few years have to start being involved at the club and new players coming in. Lloris is going to have to. You need 2 new centre-halves. You need wing-backs. So is Conte, this is the thing, when everyone says Klopp waited 3 years, 5 years, I can't see Conte being here for 3 years.
For starters, for that, Klopp signed a 5-year contract so they could invest in him over the 5-year period. Conte hasn't done that. Still hasn't done that. Klopp's football is not as bad as this. That's the problem. So we're really struggling with the football. Yeah. So when you're watching decent football, but you're getting beat now and again, or if you can live with it because you're like, you know what, I can see green shoots popping up here. I can see what he's trying to do. He had to get the players to play his style, like in terms of how the energy and all that. But he also then took players and made them better into what he wanted. He took Henderson, made him into a better player. He got Trent Alexander. He was floating around. He put him in. They do some shrewd signings, but they sold well. That's their problem. They sold well. We can't sell anything at the moment. We couldn't sell flowers on Valentine's Day. Yeah,
because the economy is different now, right?
Exactly. Well. It is. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah.
Yep.
But they write off players. All right, get rid of him. Yeah, we take.
But Liverpool selling Coutinho for 150 million.
Oh, that was a massive cash injection. I was saying they sold it at the right time. They went right.
Yeah.
You want to go? Yeah. Where we've had that opportunity with Ericsson. We had that with Ericsson where we could have got probably a similar amount of money when he first turned around and said, "I don't want to. I don't want to stay here anymore. I'm not going to sign a new contract." When it was offered to him, at every other club, you go, right, we need to sell you now because your value's just going down. So, but we don't do that. So they did that and they reaped the benefits of that. They went out and bought Van Dijk and the Alisson that money.
Yeah.
They had they took a punt on Salah, so it was all quite. They bought well, but they sold well. That's how you hear the constant stat how there's like 2 players left since Klopp come in and all that, but they got rid of the players. We can't get rid of them.
So would you sell? Would you then look, bearing in mind how valuable Sonny is? Well, let's just have a frank conversation. I'm not in any way advocating for this position, but just wanna like throw it out there.
What, sell Son?
You could probably get, because of the value that Sonny brings in terms of just not only goals and assists to any particular team, but the shirt sales, etc. Korea, that's 50 million. He probably sells 50 million shirts every year in Korea, right? There's 80 million Koreans. They probably most of them probably buy a shirt every couple of years. There's so much money coming in via that whole angle. I would say that Sonny is more valuable as a transfer than Harry Kane is at this stage. And I think that Sonny doesn't deliver, or at least he hasn't delivered. So I'm wondering, I know that it's going to be taken the wrong way by some people that are thinking I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But when Coutinho was sold by Liverpool, he was at peak. And I don't remember Liverpool fans turning around and criticizing FSG and Klopp saying, "Oh, we're now a selling club," right? Because they had faith in the process and they went and reinvested it well. Tottenham don't have. If Tottenham are going to sell an asset to try and raise significant money to then go and put it in alongside the money that Tottenham can generate from other sources, is Sonny one that we would let go of?
Sava showed this before last season, before the whole Kane thing. I said I would sell Son now before he signed his contract. Yeah, because he had a year or 2 years left on his current deal. He'd had a good season when the whole Son and Kane partnership just started. Yeah, he still had his pace. He was under 30. You'd probably get 80 million for him then. I would have sold him then. But then the whole Kane thing happened with Man City. So that's
you'll probably get 130 million, 150 million now, though.
No,
he's got 5
no chance. No
you don't think?
No, no chance. He's a too patchy player for starters. For asking for that sort of money, you have to be really consistent. Yeah, he was golden boot last season, but they were in gluts and all that. And he doesn't, other than poaching goals now, he doesn't have a great deal amount to his game. His passing's poor. His approach play's poor. He don't have that fear factor when he runs at a fullback that he used to anymore. There's
golden boot last season.
Yeah, I'm saying, but they were gluts, weren't they? There were many games last season where he was piss poor.
Just quickly, beyond 72. When you're saying this chat is getting worse, for fuck's sake, sell Son.
That's part of the problem. That is part of the problem with this club. People want to hold on to him till their retirement, till they get their gold watch.
Hang on, forget that. The whole point of this is it's just a debate.
Just a question.
My friend, you do realise that whatever is decided in this chat does not affect what Tottenham Hotspur go and do with Heung-min Son. The point is everybody, whenever you're talking about how long Conte needs, the first thing they say is, well, look at what happened with Klopp. So what we're saying is, okay, if we're going down that route, how did Liverpool do it? Okay, Liverpool went, who's our best asset?
Yeah.
Let's sell him and invest really, really well and buy top players. Now, this is the same problem with Tottenham that Tottenham have always had. We are so worried about anyone going because we know we won't bring in better. Now, for me,
our scouts aren't good enough, right?
If somebody turned around right now and said to me, here's 130, let's just use that number, 130 million for Heung-min Son at 30 years of age.
I'd say, snap your fucking hand off.
I would like to think, that I would do that immediately and then go and get the lad from Napoli. I'm going to butcher his name. Someone like that.
Cavicciolo, whatever his name was.
The Georgian lad.
This is where good scouting comes into it.
Or you go and buy Maddison.
If you're telling me, but again, none of our fans ever want this team to evolve. People want Kane, Son, and Kulusevski to play for the next 5-10 years. It's not going to happen.
Doesn't happen.
Kane and Son now have been here for 7-8 years.
Eating that leftover pizza on day 3 versus day 2,
and it gives you the shits in the end. Yeah.
And hang on to for too long.
It's an interesting one because look, as much as we don't like this, forget whether it's Son. This summer we could be having this very debate for real about how much are we selling Harry Kane for. So as much as fans we don't want to have these difficult conversations,
They're
We're
having
saying-
that conversation in the boardroom. They're looking right now at the numbers and saying, how many shirts have we sold with Sonny's name in the back of it? How many endorsements, how many sponsorships do we have? Is the AIA sponsorship in any way connected to Sonny? I know it's probably not because he's Korean and they're Hong Kong, but generally speaking, those conversations are happening every day, all day long. I reckon Sonny's
He's a
probably
commercial asset. I get what. Yeah, I
Massive,
agree with it.
massive.
He's a commercial asset and he's still marketable. But problem with a lot of our fans, they let emotion hinder progress. Yeah? Every club that's gone on to win things at some point has had to sell their better players. I don't just say, right, we're selling you, because normally the player is happy to go. Yeah? No one got dragged out of their club by their heels. Hazard wanted to leave, so Chelsea went, all right, for 130 million, you can leave.
Yeah,
gone. Coutinho, Barcelona want me. I want to go there. Okay, for 140 million, whatever it
Ronaldo,
was, you
Man
can
United.
go there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
they
of them.
do it. All these clubs do it, but at Tottenham, we can't do it. No, you can't do that. You're like, well, we'll never get anywhere.
For me, there's two obvious routes to go with this. If either we keep Sonny and Kane and we buy big and we buy right now to make the team straight away, ready-made players. If you're not going to do that, you've got to plan for when we do not have Sonny and Kane. They will retire or they will move on at some point. That's fact. We all know
They will
this.
decline.
Right.
So if you're going to do that, and Conte as well, he's going to move on at some point. These are all things we have to be prepared for.
Which is
Now,
why I don't get emotionally attached to any of them.
If we're not buying for the now and we're buying for the future, maybe it is a more sensible thing to start saying, you know what, we should probably cap in on Sonny and Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could sell Sonny for 130, put together with the 50 million quid that we didn't take from the 150 million pound tranche, and I'm just not suggesting I'm advocating this, I'm just putting it out there. Plus, we've got 60 million quid already from the Champions League, another 15 million guaranteed to come in, plus whatever money is under the mattress. You could pull together a 300 million pound war chest, and all you're losing is a player that is probably, maybe some Tottenham fans are going to have loyalty towards it, but some others will say he's probably peaked. And then you can go and buy 5, 6, 7 players for 50 million, 40 million quid, or a couple of 80 million pounds, whatever, however you want to shake it out. But you do have to plan the rebuild. You do have to do that. And like Kuva says, unless you're going to go and spend 300 million pound right now to capture the last 2 or 3 good remaining years of Kane and Son and try and win something with them, then you're going to end up having to replace them anyway. And so, it's an ongoing cycle of a rebuild that never actually is built. For me, I think it's not a bad argument to make.
And the problem we have got is, sorry, Sav, it's just one more bit on that. When we're not selling players well, when we can't get rid of the crap, and we're writing off money, player trading is a massive part of financing a club. Yeah, anyone who reads club statements and all that, you see that Swiss Ramble on Twitter, you read his stuff, he goes through all the accounts. Yeah, player trading's huge, no matter what club it is. If that's down, if you're not doing that properly, then you're affecting your revenue stream. That's why we probably didn't spend as much money as we wanted to this summer, because we can't get rid of players. So when you're buying poor and struggling to get rid of it, that pot money has to go into that pot from somewhere else. So then you have to look at, okay, we now have to sell assets rather than get rid of crap. We now have to sell assets to put in that pot to keep going, because otherwise you stagnate.
And if we don't make Champions League next year, that's an extra 70 odd million that we're not making from that pot. Listen, I want to move this on to Harry Kane, away from Heung-min Son. Just quickly before we do, just a question for everyone in the chat, not you, for everyone in the comments. The conversation we're having now is very similar conversations I remember, Pete, we definitely had in our group 8 years ago, probably before I was speaking with Sean McCoover, around, at the time, how much would you sell Dele Alli for and how much would you sell Christian Eriksen for? And fans were, oh my God, you
can't do that.
You can't do that. He's England's brightest player, and oh my God, Christian Eriksen's the best playmaker we've ever seen. From both of those two, right,
still ain't learned.
I think we made 11 million from Christian Eriksen, if I'm not wrong, going to Inter Milan. Yeah. And Dele Alli, depending on what report you read, nothing. So my point is this:
even Everton can't make anything out of him, and they got him for nothing.
And absolutely, but my point is this, Pete. My point is, we have to learn at some point that there is going to be life after Kane and Son. Yeah. But fans, we're very scared as fans we want to be a big club, but we're scared to act like a big club.
Yeah.
How many players have Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea? These clubs have had world-class player after world-class player. They come in, they might do a year, they bugger off somewhere else, they bring in the next one. What we do is go, oh, no, you can't sell this person. So, Sean, I'm going to start with you. Harry Kane. This is a real conversation, right? This isn't the Sonny one. Sonny's got X amount of years. Harry Kane has got, 18 months left on his contract at the turn of the year.
Yeah.
You hear all the old conversation of is he gonna leave the Premier League because he wants that Alan Shearer goal record? Would he go abroad because his family's settled? Blah 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 blah. All I know is this, Sean. At the moment, this man is in danger of being the greatest player in history to have never won a trophy.
Yeah, he's the Colin Montgomery of football, isn't he?
Right.
You know?
And I'll challenge anyone in the comments to find me a better player than Kane that won nothing in his career.
Yeah.
So 2 parts, Sean. First and foremost, right, if Kane handed in a transfer request in the summer, do you think Levy's going to dig in and go, no, I'm prepared to let you leave for free? Or do you think he's going to make some money? And secondly, is the Alan Shearer goal record enough for his career to stay at Tottenham, knowing that we're not close to winning trophies? I'm just hypothetical.
How much would the transfer money be?
Mate, listen, that's part of the question, right? How, because if Daniel Levy turns around and says, all right, Harry, you can go
70 million quid.
I need 100 million.
You're never going to get 100, right?
But this is Daniel Levy.
70 million, 65 million. I think he takes it.
More than that, in my opinion.
You reckon more?
I think because
1 year left on his 1 year left.
But I think the contract length set aside, Kane is like 2 players. He's a really good striker and he's a really good number 10. So I think the way he's evolved his game to do 2 roles, I think adds value even at his age. And with Kane, I think he will play to his very late in his career because he can just move further backwards.
Yeah,
he's that good.
Yeah, so but I don't know how much if he decides, if he asks for a transfer request and
if he asks to go, then we got to sell him. In my opinion, I'd rather him sign a new deal because I think he's that good to keep around. Son different. Kane, I think is getting better. Yeah, he's losing certain, like he never had much pace anyway. He's a bit like Sheringham, but I think better because he can drop further back and all that. I don't want him to go, but take the emotion out of it. If he says I want to leave and go somewhere, then you've got to set a reasonable price. I think maybe start 100 million. You may have to come down a bit, but start there. Yeah.
1 year left. I don't think you'll get 100 million quid. As good as he is, I don't think you'll get 100 million.
And the other question will be, is where's he going to go?
Well, I think Manchester United would be, if Daniel Levy did put a price on him of say 80 million, or whatever, call it 100 million. I think that Man United might come in because, and he would want to go to Manchester United because he can continue his chasing down of the Alan Shearer.
Yeah, the reason why I think he won't go Man United, because I don't think he'll fit in with Ten Hag's style, because Ten Hag's all about energy and pressing, and that's not Kane. When you do that to Kane, he breaks his ankles. We've seen that. We did it to him. So I don't think. I think that in terms of Kane going to a big club, I think that ship sailed. I think that Man City was his chance.
So where would he go?
I don't think he's going to go anywhere because I don't think they're for free. Yeah, then anyone will take him.
Do you not think about? I mean, again,
I don't think he'd do that. I don't think he'd do. I don't think he'd wind his contract down. If anything, I think he's a decent enough guy to have a conversation with Levy or whatever, and maybe extend the contract by a year, 18 months, whatever, something like that. But then put in a minimum release fee of like 80 million quid, so that I don't think he would do that to Tottenham. But
I think he will. Yeah. I think if he's going to go,
he's not going to go abroad
for free. Then he can go anywhere. Yeah,
I don't think he'll go abroad.
Anyone will take him because he's good to have around and he's that good of a player. But I do not think any of the bigger clubs, because let's be honest, he's going to want to go higher up the league than where we are. Say we're fourth, where we sit now. I don't think any club above is going to pay that sort of money for him.
He's not going to go to City. I don't think he'd go to Arsenal or Chelsea. It's Newcastle or United probably, or Liverpool.
Newcastle, I don't think is buying a 32, 33-year-old Harry Kane is going to part of their project. For me, probably not. Are they going to want to pay that money? No. Forget about how much money they've got as owners, but as a club, they can only spend so much money.
In Newcastle,
they can only spend so much money as they fuck themselves up.
Jeff Hurst only won the World
Cup. Yeah, for me, I I think from us, I see Kane going to the MLS because he wants to pursue a career as a kicker for American football as well, doesn't he?
Yeah,
And he
but I
might
think
not
after- he'll only
next
do that
season,
after
though.
his contract.
No, but he might
Yeah.
want to be looking at a long-term thing for.
So he'd
where
give
his
up.
future's going.
He'd go to America when he's 32.
No. He might be later than that, but
Yeah.
one's gonna buy him
that's
for
where
2
I see
years.
him going after us.
So
I can't
can see
see.
an
I can't see him
extension
leaving the
coming.
Premiership.
I can see an extension coming, 2-year extension. Yeah, with maybe a buyout. I don't even think they put a buyout clause in it because when you're 33, no one's coming in to pay your buyout clause. Let's be honest. If it's big money, a 2-year extension, and then I agree with you, Coov. He goes off to America at 34, 35, whatever, and sees out his twilight years there. That's what I think you do.
Guys,
And he's earned the right to do it. He's earned the right to do whatever he
Yeah,
wants.
yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah,
No one can slate him
I wish
for
him luck
nothing.
whatever he does. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, this is ironic. I mean, could he? Would he? I suppose, guys, for me, it would be if Kane's
That's not
going
a
to
draw
leave.
for Kane.
If Kane's going to leave now, right? It's got to be. I've got to win trophies. I've got to feasibly look at the club and go, are they in a position where in the next 2 years they're going to win trophies? You know the way Man City. You go Man City, you're winning something. You are winning something, left, right, and centre. And if it's not 1 year, it'll be everything the next. Is Man United and Newcastle? I can't see it being Chelsea, but is that a draw?
No, not for me. Definitely not Newcastle. I don't think he's the type to go for the money. That's the problem. I think he makes the right decision for Kane. Because he won't go abroad for the same reason. For me, Man United are not guaranteed to win anything. Ten Hag could get sacked at the end of the season. It could all go pear-shaped there.
Yeah.
They're just as bad as we are at the moment in terms of going down one road and turning around and then trying another route and then turning around again and all that. So they're just as chaotic as we are. But for me, I can't see him going anywhere. I think that ship sailed. I think he knows it as well.
Just quickly, everybody in the chat, we are going to go for another 15 minutes. We're going to end the show at 9:15. So any questions, please get them in. Please like and subscribe to Pete at North London Is, to Sean at Spurs Talk Show, Kuva over at the Free Spurs Boys. Please subscribe to me as well, would be nice. Sava Talks Football. Please smash that like button. And then at 9:15, I can't be any fairer to say, please then head on over to Henry Wright's channel to watch the Spurs Corner. Please all do that. That would be much appreciated to continue more Spurs chat. So for the last 15 minutes, so guys, we're the Man City transfer that never happened, guys, really felt like it was last chance saloon, and that kind of what transpired with Kane's form for the first sort of 3-4 months. What are you laughing at?
Jeffrey Dahmer, 8:59.
Oh, good God.
Fuck's sake.
I don't even know if I want to look at it. Do I want to look at it? I can't. Oh, Jesus Christ. I can't believe I pulled that up. Brilliant. Super. I mean, but guys, let's be that was the chance, right, Hoover? That was his moment to go. They probably wouldn't be talking about Erling Haaland now. You know, you'd have Harry Kane there winning titles. Do you think now he's come to peace with himself that was the big move? Or do you still think there's a sneaky little one in there somewhere?
That's a difficult one to answer because which player doesn't want to win a trophy?
Right.
Right. I do agree that I also don't think he's going to go to another Premiership club. If he does leave us for another major club, he might fancy doing sort of like Glenn Hoddle did for us, end of the career, just nip over for a little bit of a European experience in a foreign league. He did very well out of it, enjoyed himself. Perhaps Kane sees the same. If the likes of Bayern Munich are coming in, that ties in foreign experience with winning trophies, doesn't it? He might go for it, but I'm still kind of sticking with that was the last chance alone for him. That Man City move that didn't happen. If it ever was really going to happen, we can't be 100% sure, can we?
Go go on. Just
Go
to
on,
add
Pete.
to that, Goov, why I think you're right is Kane's quite an unselfish man. We see that the way he plays, blah, blah, blah. What we're not thinking is a human element to this is then his family, his kids are going to be in schools, all that sort of thing. Is he the type to want to uproot his family just because he wants a little the swan song in Europe? I don't think he does it. I don't think, not for me. I think he's quite family orientated. We know that. Nice settled family. It's quite important to people. I mean, if I've got a kid, school and all that is really important. Regardless how much money you've got, it is still kids. Do you know what I mean? It all comes into play. So I think everything's too settled for him.
So here's a question. Then moving this forward, then Sean, if he ends his career, Harry Kane, and he's won the most Premier League goals ever. Yeah, he's beaten Shearer's record. Does that constitute? This is probably going to be a debate that's longer than 30 minutes. Does that constitute a successful career for Harry Kane? Or is it going to be a look back and go, well, all my England colleagues and everyone's winning things left, right and centre. And all right, I'm the most celebrated goal scorer of all time, but it didn't win anything. Which one is it? Can it be both?
Yeah, look, I mean, if he wins a Carabao Cup and he doesn't quite make Alan Shearer's record, does that constitute a better career? No, of course not. Like if he wins the Champions League or the Premier League or something like that, then that's the real deal. But he's never going to do that with Tottenham anyway. He's hung around with Tottenham. I don't think he's hanging around for a Carabao Cup or FA Cup. I think he's all about I know he craves the team accolades, but he's still going to be remembered as an absolute legend because people are always going to compare. Like they do Alan Shearer. I mean, Alan Shearer only won one trophy, right? I know they won the league back in 1994-5 season, whatever it was with Blackburn Rovers, but that's all he won. And I know that validates him. But he's not remembered as a Premier League winner. He's remembered as the greatest Premier League goal scorer of all time.
But when
I think his best chance of winning something will be international, but not with Southgate. But I think an international trophy is probably his best route to winning something with this current England crop of players. You get a better fucking manager, then they might. I think that could quench that thirst. He could win a Euros or a World Cup potentially, and then that'll put him in probably bigger stead because we ain't won it for so long. And then bag the record. I think he might go okay.
Yeah, England should get Conte in, shouldn't they? He's good.
But how do you guys remember?
We'll end up swapping them. Don't say that.
Do you remember Alan Shearer as one of the all-time greats?
Yeah.
As a goal scorer.
Do you remember
not because he won a Premier League?
Right, exactly. So do you remember him as being one of the all-time greats because he was the Premier League's goal scorer, record goal scorer, not because he won a Premier League with Blackburn Rovers?
Yeah.
Do you remember Chris Sutton? No.
Yeah,
I remember.
You remember him, but you would never put him on a pedestal as saying one of the Premier League, one of the greatest strikers, right? But he did win a Premiership. It was a Premiership. So for me, I don't think it requires Harry Kane to win a Premier League to be remembered as an all-time great. I think if he breaks that record, I think he will have that. I think he will have that recognition.
Yeah, I think he's got to get something. He's got to get one or the other.
If he gets neither.
But the sad thing for he's going to win the Premier League one, and Haaland will take it in about 3 years, and then poor fucker's not had it for long.
By the end of next season, Haaland's chomping at the bit.
Pete, I'll come back to you, Pete, in a second on this. Alan Sibley with a comical donation to the British Heart Foundations. Thank you for this. He's had a typical Spurs stream. Poor first half, but got better in the second half. Calm down, Sava. I'm only joking. Listen, I'll take that. Listen, thank you very much. It's much appreciated. Let's hope Bastoni isn't playing tonight, boys, as well, because Juventus are beating Inter Milan 2-0, if anyone cares. Pete, listen, I mean, as fun as that was, I mean, that's the worst scenario for him, right? Is that he doesn't win a trophy, plus doesn't beat Alan Shearer's record. I mean, listen, I mean, he can't complain. He's going to be a very wealthy man all of his life. He's got a great family. Scored hundreds of goals in football. But surely there'll be that kind of twinge looking back of, oh, I should have done more.
I do feel for him. I do feel for him in that respect. And the way we're playing at the moment, he's getting goals, but he's not getting as many as he should because he's got to create his own goals most of the time. Mm-hmm. So we're not helping him out on no way, shape, or form.
I just don't see him as being this sort of broken down loser Paul Merson style, sat on being a pundit that's should have done better than he did.
It's not egotistical.
Paul Merson style.
He hasn't got the eloquence.
Well, we all remember Matt Letizia, and he never won nothing. Matt Letizia is still held in high regard, and he's not.
But Kane just strikes me as somebody he's got a plan for after his playing.
He's not going to be in a park bench with a fucking bottle of whiskey with a brown bag wrapped around it
with the rest of the Spurs fans.
Or turning up with someone.
I'll save him a space. There you go, Harry.
Turning up with a riverbank with 4 tins of lager.
I mean, so guys, just on the back of this, the closest we got in the chat in the comments was players that didn't win a trophy were Di Natale and Matt Letizia. And all the people saying...
I've got a few more. Tom Finney, Johnny Haynes.
Never heard
Johnny Haynes. God, you're going back some years.
Who are these people?
Listen, there's been plenty of shit players who've won trophies as well.
Tom Finney was Preston, right, Cover?
Yeah, Preston Plummer.
Tom Finney was Preston.
Incredible winger. Johnny Haynes, ex-England captain, played for Fulham.
Yeah.
Really good players. But, it's very few of those got caliber. Matt Letizia is the only one I'll pull out otherwise.
I did enjoy the comment that said, "Oh well, Jeff Hurst only won a World Cup." I mean, pretty much, if you've only won a World Cup and scored the hat trick to win that World Cup, I'm pretty sure your name is in history forever.
There's no saying Harry Kane couldn't do that. He's definitely got the.
There's one word why Harry Kane.
Gareth Southgate. Yeah, Gareth Southgate. Yeah, you get rid of that. So I mean, you get rid of that clown, and then who knows?
And that's funny. Someone's actually put in the chat. They put it? Someone said, "Here's a question for. Where is it? Here's a question for you. Who's more negative, Conte or Southgate?" I'm not even going into it, guys.
That's an hard one, isn't it? That's another show in itself.
Just quickly, that second goal's been for Juve has been ruled for Juve has been ruled out for a handball. I didn't touch his hand.
I've not seen it.
It's a disgrace.
I mean, guys, I'll tell you what. We've got 7 minutes left. Let's really quickly. Let's talk about the. There's a little. Oh my God! And here's Usama bin Conte. I mean, Jesus Christ! I mean, how has someone got the time to do this? By the way, Lee Martin, if you're chucking Gary Lineker in, Gary Lineker won trophies. Gary Lineker
even with us, FA Cup with us.
Yeah, FA Cup with us. He won Sampdoria and Sampdoria, wasn't it?
No, not Sampdoria. It was Barcelona and so what was he? Leicester, Everton, Spurs, Barcelona.
Grampus 8.
Grampus 8. Yes, he did go Grampus 8. Can someone in the comments please just Google what did Gary Lineker win in his career? And also never getting a booking, that trophy that he got. Guys, there's a Champions League draw going on tomorrow, I believe.
Can't wait for that. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Guys, so who can we get? Well, we can't get teams that finish second, such as Liverpool, and we can't get Frankfurt. But what we can do is we can get both Milans, we can get RB Leipzig, we can get Club Brugge, and we can get Dortmund. I think I might be missing one.
PSG.
Come on, PSG.
I'd love to say I did that for effect, but I truly forgot. Guys, look, there's 2 ways of looking at this. You want the worst team out of the rest so that you can go as deep as possible. Oh, yeah. Or you want the best team because, let's face it, you're in the Champions League.
To play
you
the best.
want to see top teams coming to Spurs. It's the point of being in the competition, and you don't know if you're going to be in it again for a while. So, Kuva, who do you want? Who do you want to avoid?
I want to avoid everybody that isn't PSG. I've just got raging wood for PSG at the moment. I'm just thinking we're not going to win this competition. Let's just see Emerson Royale, Eric Dyer, Ben Davis up against Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, and just go out in this explosive shitstorm, catastrophic exit from the competition.
Yeah, that could happen against Bruges.
But
The way we're playing.
at least there'll be some nice big names, name
Jesus
players.
Christ.
And it's fun.
Don't give us too much credit against Leipzig, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Well, listen, I can imagine that players like Nkunku would
Smash
thoroughly enjoy running at our wing backs. But so Takuva, you want PSG, you want the big boy.
All guns blazing, go out in a just glorious mess.
Yeah,
because we're not winning anyway. Have some fun with it.
And a very good Steve said Lineker was crisp in front of goal. Very
nice,
good.
nice.
Danny has said, by the way, AC Milan fans are begging to play Spurs.
I bet all the other fans are begging to
Of course
play
they
us.
are.
To be
Yeah,
honest,
everyone wants to play
we're the draw everyone else wants.
Yeah.
Pete, come on, hit me up. Are you with Kuba? Do you want Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe, or do you want some players you've probably never heard of from Club Bruges or somewhere in the middle?
Well, I know they have a better right wing back than we'll have. I think there's a dicking on the menu in this competition wherever round is coming. So just get it out of the way. There's nothing worse than we beat Bruges, everyone, and then you get a real team and then you get pumped. So I think for our benefit, let's draw a PSG and then see what happens. Yeah. Because then if you get rid of them, hypothetically, do you know what I mean? Then who knows? Yeah, because we saw it before when we were shit in the league with the Poch, but we managed to go far in the Champions League by hook or by crook. Because in the league we were dreadful, but the Champions League then was a distraction. Who knows, that could happen again? I doubt it, very much doubt it. But just take one of them out. Let's have a good night. That's what Champions League before is for, playing big games of football, not worrying about trying to get Club Bruges. That's a small club mentality.
And what would you say? PSG? I mean, let's be really honest. I'm not saying PSG are the greatest team in the world, but surely a front three of. I watched tonight what Darwin Núñez did to Emerson Royal. Not saying Darwin Núñez was brilliant. He had some good moments and some shocking moments, but can you imagine Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar running at this team?
Do you know what the worst thing is? We have to play 2 first halves against them. Because it's 2 legs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, but 2 second halves as well.
2 second halves as well, exactly. Yeah.
I got a funny feeling. I know what one's coming out on top. That could be brutal. That could be absolutely brutal. But to be honest, it'll be no more than we deserve. That's what happens. Yeah. If you want to be in these competitions, I used to always say, just get the big boys. I wanted all the big boys in the group and all that, because that's what you're in it for. I don't see. That's what Arsenal used to be like. They go in it and try and avoid all the big boys. Manage to do it. Get a big boy. Get pumped. Yeah, we've sort of done better than that. We've got some real group of deaths and come out of them and won them often enough. So just get a big boy and see what happens.
Get a big boy.
Exactly. This could be our last turn in the Champions League for a while if it doesn't go our way this season. So let's have some names worth remembering in a match.
Let's have a game. Do you know what I mean? That's what the stadium was for, wasn't it? That's what the stadium was for, and all that.
So 5 years' time, we aren't going to be thinking of, remember that Marseille game?
Yeah.
We can all remember the last time Lionel Messi came to England and taught us how to play football. Sean, are you making this 3 out of 3, or do you want Club Bruges?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about Club. I don't want PSG. I'm going to take the pussy route, and I'll go for I'll go for Dortmund or Leipzig or Bruges. Listen, I think Bruges are a really good team, and on the one hand, listen, I'm almost kind of glad that Benfica, because I think Benfica would be a team that most people will go, when we get that draw. Benfica are a brilliant team at the moment, playing amazing football. So
won that group with PSG in it. So
they're undefeated this season. If we got PSG, everyone would say no chance, and then we can play with the shackles off. If we get Benfica, a lot of Tottenham fans would say we'll probably got to give them and we wouldn't. We wouldn't, right? And then the hate would come out. So for me, I'd rather take the easy route and get a Bruges. Although there is a player for Bruges that I absolutely love. His name is Skov Olsen. I think he's fucking delicious. I don't know how much it would cost to get him, but you talk about selling Sonny and getting that money, bringing the new breed, the new generation in. He'd be someone at the top of my list. I think he's absolutely delectable. I'd rather go with Bruges because I think that we can maybe have a game against them and then see what happens in the quarterfinal. We'll catch a big game, a big name at some point.
Of course, you've got to.
so-
You got to in this competition. I mean, guys, look, I am going to end it there. So, I don't want to just debate all night just for the sake of it. But just before we go, Phil P, big up as always. He said, what is your favourite park bench tipple? As always, some people drink to remember, some people drink to forget. Big up Savra and panel.
White Lightning.
I'm not sure if you can see in the corner, just behind me there's a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue. If I die on a park bench because I've drunk too much Johnny Walker Blue, I'll be a very happy man when I get to heaven.
Johnny Walker Blue is not a park bench tipple. A park bench tipple is a $2.99 bottle of like 4 litre, looks like Lucozade, but it's got 15% White Lightning in it. That's
not when you're as rich as me, Sean. Not when you're as rich as me. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I don't drink that much, so mine will probably be a cup of tea. I do drink, but I'm not a proper drinker.
Wow.
I think if we're going to the park,
can of Red Bull, probably not me.
If we're going to the park bench route, then I'm going to go with the classic. It's going to be a bottle of sherry.
Bottle of sherry.
Yeah, I don't like the stuff, but that's just what you drink if it's a brown paper bag. It's
not
something
dead
with a percentage.
Lambrini.
So, anyway, guys, listen, we are going to end the show there. What I would say, thank you so much to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for all of your super chats. If I can ask you so kindly, please jump off of this show, jump over and support Henry Wright TV. Watch the lads over there for more Spurs debate. Other than that, thank you very much, Kuva. Thank you very much, Sean. Thanks for jumping on, Pete. And as always, I will see you all very soon. Thank you. Much love.
Cheers, lads.
And we are